Well, the Indianapolis Colts are sifting through their quarterback options. Riley Leonard has a strained knee ligament. He's considered week to week. One of the options is the 44-year-old Philip Rivers, as NFL Network reported.
What year is it?
They are going to put through a workout with Philip Rivers on Tuesday. He's 44. Wow. He last played in the NFL in 2020. He is a grandfather.
Old Man River, that old man River.
It is a question of whether or not Rivers would want to do it. He has to be 100% convicted. He doesn't know that he is, and the Colts also are sifting through other options to figure out who else they could bring in. But that is the point that they're now at, because Daniel Jones is out for the year. Riley Leonard is week to week. They have Brett Rippon on the practice squad.
Did not have that one on my bingo card. Good morning, everyone, and welcome into a Tuesday, the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd back in studio today. Mark Dykton, great work on the Old Man River intro right there. Wow. KB, I'll start with you. What was your thought when you first saw that come through social media yesterday?
Well, dadgummit, I'm just flipping happy to be talking to you guys today.
Shoot.
Are him and Mendoza related?
I do think there's some off. Not to say that Philip Rivers has illegitimate kids. I think he's got enough legitimate kids.
No, I meant could they be like distant cousins or something?
A 23andMe situation.
Yeah, one of those.
There's a lot there. Yeah, it's funny. Eddie Garrison and I did a podcast yesterday, and I half jokingly, half seriously said to Eddie on the podcast, I go, what if I just called Philip Rivers? 44th birthday for the grandpa yesterday, by the way. Happy. Look at that. James Boyd, Mark Dykton, and Philip Rivers. All sharing birthdays in a similar time frame there.
It's impressive.
I ain't getting on the field, though.
Half jokingly, half seriously. But, yeah, I don't know if Kerry Collins didn't answer, and Matt Ryan said the CBS gig is too good. But Philip Rivers in Indianapolis for a workout here. It is quite a time to be alive.
And it sounds like if he were healthy, it would just be Riley Leonard, and they'd roll with that, right?
Yeah, Mark, thank you for that open. It made me laugh, but it has some info in there. Obviously, Riley Leonard's dealing with a knee injury, and, as we mentioned with Riley Leonard yesterday, and we've talked about it for the last 6 or 7 months about him, he is a man that needs the leg element to his game. And so if this knee injury is going to hinder him in any way, I deem him very ineffective. So basically you are saying Brett Rippon or who? That's what it's coming down to, it looks like. So if Riley Leonard indeed is banged up, so we'll see.
Is there anybody we're snatching on a practice squad anywhere?
Yeah, I guess you could sign somebody off a practice squad. I don't, who the hell knows what Philip Rivers looks. I mean, Philip Rivers has made it very clear that he has thought about coming back in this last 4 or 5 year span. And so we'll see, if the putting the full pads on in the front yard with son Gunner has led to anything here.
I thought I just had a really long weekend because I was like, maybe I hit my head or something because, the Colts were in the playoff hunts before. They had healthy quarterbacks, and I was like, now I'm walking back in. They're out of the playoffs, and Philip Rivers is getting a call to, hey, you want to play quarterback against the Seahawks? Like, what? It is amazing what has happened in the last 3 weeks. It is absolutely amazing.
Could you imagine Philip Rivers getting off the sideline, where I think he's been a high school coach for the last couple of years, right? But that season's over right now. I don't know if he's still doing that. But can you imagine him at 44, a grandfather, coming off the streets, as they say, and leading the Colts to a couple of wins down the stretch, and they get a break or two along the way, and he's starting for them in a wild card playoff game, James?
Wasn't he the last guy to start for them in a playoff game? So
it was in Buffalo, right?
I feel like I'm watching Stranger Things, the real life version. We're in the upside down right now. So crazy times. And honestly, I had to do a double take when I was doing my story and trying to report on it and confirming stuff and trying to get clarity and more information. And yeah, I will say for the people who keep asking, is this for real? It's real enough for him to get on a plane.
Which I think is really real. Yeah. I think once you get on a plane, you hear, hey, the Colts still have to make sure they're sold on it. Philip still has to make sure he's sold on it. James, Shane Steichen, and Philip Rivers are football freaking obsessed. Can you imagine how many plays they probably went back and discussed in their dinner last night? You know how many Charger memories they probably when those juices are going to be flowing like none other once those two get back together. At this point, I'd be surprised if Phillip Rivers is not a member of the Colts by the end of today or the end of Wednesday, I guess. You know, their first practice will be Thursday this week as they play Seattle, because I just think once you get together, all the emotions are stirred up. Once you get in the building, Phillip Rivers is going to look at it in that manner. Hell, he watches the Chargers last night and says, boy, I could do what those two quarterbacks are. How many turnovers did Jalen Hurts have last night? I could play like that.
That was a god-awful Monday night game. But I will
rough.
say this.
Not good for the Colts, by the way.
Yeah, they've gotten really no help.
Eagles winning last night. Not good. Excuse me, Eagles losing.
He also had, Houston beat the Chiefs. It's rough right now for the Colts. But I will say this, for context, as far as the Phillip Rivers and Shane Steichen relationship, those two were together for 8 years during their Chargers days. And at one point, Shane was actually his interim offensive coordinator. So they talked a lot of football, and I went back through and found some audio and different things to include in my story from yesterday. And one quote that stood out to me, Kevin, was when they actually had talked to Phillip Rivers, they being the Colts podcast team. They talked to Phillip Rivers back in May because of his relationship with Riley Leonard, because he mentors him down in Alabama. Riley's parents live close to
Fairhope,
Phillip
Alabama,
Rivers, yeah, which sounds like something out of a Disney movie, Fairhope, Alabama.
A Hallmark Christmas location.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And here's what Rivers said in this podcast back in May about Shane Steichen. He said, he and I saw the game a lot alike. And so even now when I talk to Shane, it's like we can paint a picture over a phone conversation about a play. And I know we're seeing the exact same thing, but Shane has a unique ability to be able to get that communicated to quarterbacks. When I was listening to that podcast again, I was like, I wonder what those conversations sound like tonight.
Yeah, they are super close. They still talk a ton. Jeff, I think you and I talked about it yesterday. I said if this was a little bit earlier in the year, the Colts would probably do the Joe Flacco thing. You'd go find
absolutely
that sort of guy.
Because he's been playing for the last couple of years.
Obviously, it's post-trade deadline, so you have some limitations on what you can do. And, James, I don't know if you felt this way, but I thought the Brett Rippon answer from Shane Steichen yesterday was really odd. Basically...
Yeah. Asking, would he start?
Right.
Yeah.
How the
that was
Zoom played out yesterday was, first off, you have Daniel Jones confirmed torn Achilles, okay? There's news item 1. Then he announces Riley Leonard has a knee injury. There's news item 2. As we sit here on this Tuesday morning, I sadly and unfortunately have the thought of, is Mooney Ward ever going to play an NFL game again, as he is in concussion protocol for the third time in 3 months? That news item came out. And so, you're trying to sift through all of this. I think we are, as people asking questions. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Riley Leonard's hurt. That means 3 of your 4 quarterbacks on the roster are hurt.
Yep.
Let's ask about the one healthy dude who hasn't thrown an NFL pass in 3 years, and Brett Rippon. So I simply just asked, hey, if Riley can't go, would Brett Rippon start on Sunday? And Mark, I don't know, maybe I should have sent it to you to clip out. But the direct quote is this. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, right now, that'll be the guy that's on our roster. So, like I said, we're working through these situations right now. As soon as I heard that, I go, they are doing something outside of the building. 1,000%.
Right.
That quote is, well, it's not useless. It clearly matters because, here they are doing the Rivers thing.
He said, he will start if that's the only body we have.
Yeah. Which, again, if you have 3 injured quarterbacks and there's only 4 in the building, even if you think Brett Rippon is your starter Sunday, you have to have somebody go out and be the backup.
For the record, I'm still thinking, hey, one guy is 29, the other guy is 44. So just keep that in mind. I know Phillip Rivers is a great player, great resume, but boy, it's been a minute since he's been out there.
There are jokes about the Seattle Seahawks memeing Grandpa got ran over by a reindeer, and I'm afraid we might see that on Sunday.
We may get a song submission by a listener on that, to be honest with you. I could see that coming. So that's the news as we have it right now for the Indianapolis Colts. They're down to they are working out Phillip Rivers a little bit later on today, and if there is mutual interest and he wants to completely and fully commit at this point in his life, where's he living right now? Do you know?
Alabama. Fairhope, Alabama. I do have one interesting tidbit we can get into about if he were to return. So I'll just leave that there for you all listening.
Ooh. 10 kids, 1 grandkid.
So he's got his own roster.
7 girls, 3 boys. His son, again, I think I've said this before. I want Notre Dame to go after his son. He sounds like a pretty highly ranked ranked recruit. Speaking of that, by the way, Fernando Mendoza's high school coach in 20 minutes. Dave Dunn going to join us here coming up in 20. Rick Carlisle, 9 o'clock today.
I want a
Pacers
flipping champs shirt so bad.
have won 4 of 6. Really nice from the big 3 last night. The Ethan Thompson story continues to be great. So Rick Carlisle at 9.
That kid hustles. He was getting every loose ball up. He didn't get a rebound in the fourth quarter, James. He was tipping it out to somebody last night.
Got to enjoy that aspect of this Pacers season. It's been rough early on, but they found a few gems along the way. I had a few moments here, I guess, more recently than before, so I'll take it.
All right, coming up in a minute, we'll get you the check down. As you mentioned, Kevin, we'll have Fernando Mendoza's high school football coach a little bit later on in the hour. It's all happening right here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Good morning, everyone. If you're just joining us, big news this morning. If maybe you were just watching TV last night, you were out and about and didn't really pay attention to what was happening on social media or anywhere else. The Indianapolis Colts are looking for a quarterback. Kevin Bowen, who is one of those quarterbacks they are seriously considering at this point in time.
Yeah, Uncle Phil, Philip Rivers, Shane Steichen and him have significant history together, still remain very close. Chris Ballard has always loved Philip Rivers. By all accounts, the Colts looked into him playing in 2021 as the Carson Wentz debacle was taking place. Other teams, 49ers and the Saints, they have tried as well here in recent years. So, having said that, this is a 44-year-old that hasn't played in an NFL game in 5 years.
James Boyd, your thoughts initially when you saw that and as you were tracking the story down?
Am I being punked? Remember that show, Kevin? Because I was thinking to myself, this
Ashton Kutcher
cannot be real. But it is indeed real, and the Colts are clearly exploring all their options. But like Kevin said, the guy is 44, hasn't played in 5 years, but desperate times call for perhaps desperate measures, considering that currently 3 of the 4 quarterbacks on your roster are hurt, and the only healthy one is Brett Rippon, who has not started a game since 2023.
I'm just curious also, the quarterbacks that are on the roster, just to catch people up again, Riley Leonard, who we saw play this past Sunday, he's got a problem with a knee right now, correct?
Right knee injury, okay.
So he may or may not be able to go on Sunday.
Right, he has a cloudy status.
Brett Rippon has not played an NFL game in 3.5 years.
I believe his last start was in 2023 for the Los Angeles Rams.
So it's only been 2 years.
But, I guess 2 years is better than 5 years. And then obviously, for those who keep asking, Anthony Richardson remains on injured reserve. And then Shane Steichen did tell us yesterday he will not be elevated this week, so he's out for Sunday's game.
I say let's get nuts. Get Philip Rivers in here, sign Matt Ryan, get Jim Sorgi, and get Curtis Painter. Everybody plays a quarter, and we'll see what happens. Let's just have some fun.
The best men win.
Throw a dart at the board. You're getting the first quarter. You get the second quarter. You get third. You get fourth.
How about
Didn't
Blue?
they do that one time with it Josh Freeman and Ryan Lindley?
Yeah. Flip a coin.
I think they won that game.
Old man football. Let's go.
Whoever starts at quarterback will have to take on the Seattle Seahawks on the road Sunday afternoon, 4:25 kick time. Our pregame coverage will start at about 1:30 or so. Mark, you didn't have your mic on for that one.
Yeah, I said, what a tantalizing proposition. Hey, Philip, I know you're holding your grandkid right now. You want to get smashed by the Seattle defense right now in Seattle?
Grandpa
you want to sign
got
up for
run
that?
over by a reindeer, sliding for a first down Christmas Eve.
It's going to be ugly.
Something like that. All right, so that'll be the 8-5 Colts, who are currently in 8th place in the AFC, trying to fight, scratch, claw, and figure out a way to get themselves inside the playoffs. They're on the outside looking in right now. Monday Night Football last night.
We should mention one more Colts news item because just the serious news with Javarius Ward back in concussion protocol, had some symptoms develop yesterday morning. So this is now the 3rd time he has been in concussion protocol in 3 months. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a player in the 15 years I've covered the Colts be in concussion protocol 3 times in 3 months. And then just to refresh everyone's memory on his status, he missed over a month last time in concussion protocol and was very upfront in describing how severe his symptoms were, and it had him pondering if he would ever play football again. So just awful to hear that on many, many levels yesterday. So it's the lengthiest the injury report has been all year long for the Colts, easily the most notable names. And as you guys accurately put out, maybe the best team they've faced all season. Certainly one of them. Coming up on Sunday.
It's just getting rougher and rougher, though, over there at West 56th. Last night, Monday Night Football, it was kind of an ugly game, but somehow Justin Herbert, playing with a hand or a left hand that had been surgically repaired just a week ago, he's running around. He had over 60 yards rushing last night and leading that team to a victory, James.
I will say this, because I referenced the broadcast. He had hand surgery, not foot surgery. So him running, I get that he has to hold the ball, but boy, I thought that was kind of overhyped. I'm like, the guy.
You got NFL linebackers coming after you.
Yes, but you're also running with healthy feet. They're like, oh my God, he ran with a broken hand.
No, it's about taking the hits more than anything.
Hey, shout out to him. The drugs are good.
His coach Jim Harbaugh called him a superhero after the game.
Jim Harbaugh said, he was as happy as when he had his 7 children after winning that game last night.
Jalen Hurts with
he
two.
He had a guttural scream. Did you hear that?
I did see that.
He was like, ah!
Hurts had 2 healthy hands. He turned the ball over 4 times passing and then fumbled the ball, turned it over twice in one play. He had a rough night, James.
The vibes are bad right now, Jeff and Philly. I can only imagine what their radio sounds like this morning.
Oh, my goodness. So that brings a conclusion to Week 14 in the NFL. Last night over at the Fieldhouse, though, Indiana Pacers, they got up to a 19-point lead over the Sacramento Kings, lost it, trailed by 7, 97-90, and then all of a sudden, Andrew Nimhard turned into a superhero. He and Benedict Mathurin combined for 11 straight points. They got Ethan Thompson batting rebounds out to everybody. Those guys were terrific. Pascal Siakam was terrific. They put together a late run of their own, and they win by 11 points, 116-105. It was a wild fourth quarter.
Yeah, awful third quarter, and then the shot making. Yeah, Nimhard hit those 2, sandwiched around Mathurin hitting a 3. Those were some big-time shots. Again, Rick Carlisle join us coming up at 9. Looking forward to chatting about Ethan Thompson, that story. He was really active and keeping some extra possessions alive. So that is now 4 of 6 for the Pacers, and now they hit that in-season tournament little break here. So they'll only play twice, like in the next 9 days. So time to rest and time to practice.
They do not play again until Friday when they will take on the Philadelphia 76ers on the road with a 7 p.m. start there. Heisman Trophy invitees. There are 4 of them this year. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana will be joined by Jeremiah Love of Notre Dame. Kevin, getting a little love there. Julian Sayin from Iowa State and Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. Those are the 4 that will be in attendance. Also, I saw the Notre Dame athletic director yesterday basically say that the ACC, through their social media conduct all season long and kind of lobbying for Miami and against Notre Dame, has permanently damaged the reputation of the institution. I'm paraphrasing there, Kevin, but he was he's been on a little media tour of his own the last couple of days.
Yeah, ACC and Notre Dame's partnership, not institution.
Well, you're right, the partnership. I overstated that, but I was trying to get a rise out of it either way. But I don't remember seeing athletic directors make public tours like that.
Fernando Mendoza's high school coach going to join us here in 5 minutes. And Indiana, a very big favorite tonight against Penn State, 15.5 points inside of Assembly Hall. Penn State has played no one this year. They are 8-1, but clearly those that look into this do not expect this to be a close game at all as Indiana tries to regroup after 2 straight losses.
All right, we'll talk more about all these things coming up in a minute. We'll take a break so we can get right to the high school football coach of Fernando Mendoza. We'll do that next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Well, he is a sensation in college football, no question about that. Fernando Mendoza is one of 4 players to now have been invited to New York City for this Saturday's Heisman Trophy ceremony. He has done amazing things in his year at Indiana, leading them to an undefeated season, a berth in the college football playoff. And, man, we are dying to know more about this young man, and it seems like just a really cool kid, too. Dave Dunn, his high school football coach over at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami, joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline to talk a little bit more about this young man. And we're hungry, Coach, to find out everything we can about him. Good morning and welcome to the program. We appreciate you being here, but it's got to be almost surreal to have a kid that you coached in high school going to New York to maybe get the Heisman Trophy this weekend, huh?
It really is, guys. Thanks for having me on. He's just a tremendous young man. So watching him have the success he's had at IU has been amazing for everybody down here in Miami and especially at Christopher Columbus High School.
Again, that's Dave Dunn, the coach, as he said, at Christopher Columbus High School. And Dave, Kevin Bowen here. Appreciate you responding and joining us on this Tuesday morning. Let's go back to the first time Fernando Mendoza got, I would say, probably accurately thrust into a game for you down there. I know you've told the story before, but for our audience that hasn't heard it, it's quite the story.
He was injured and didn't practice the whole week, and they kind of cleared him right before the game. And I told his dad right before the game, I said, hey, listen, you don't have to worry. We're not going to put him in, so don't worry about it. Well, our quarterback got knocked out with about a minute to go in the game, and his Fernando came in off the bench, and his first pass he threw was for a touchdown, which basically, put us in position to win the game.
So that is – what year was this for Fernando?
It was his sophomore year, and his dad just shook his head as we were walking off the field and said, I thought you said he wasn't going to play. So he literally made a statement on his first pass ever thrown in high school.
And Coach, is there a little more? What wasn't there maybe a missed kick that led to all of a sudden you needing to do it again, and Mendoza got you into kicking range again for potentially the win?
Yeah, so we ended up, it's made it score 28-27. We missed the extra point. Went through an onside kick, and we had about 14 seconds left with no timeouts. And so Fernando threw a deep in route that got us in a field goal range, went up and spiked the ball. We missed the field goal. So it would have been a much better story if we made either of the 2 kicks, but he did his part and then some at the end of the game there.
I was going to say, you sound like an Ohio State fan this past weekend if they just made the kick. But obviously IU and your former quarterback played spoilers, and they have been on a remarkable run, probably one of the greatest stories in all of college sports history. So, Coach, for you, when did you perhaps realize that Fernando could play at this level? And I say that because every coach is going to be high on their starting quarterback and a high-character kid. But did you see some NFL talent in him early on?
His first start came that next week because we still have the same injury at quarterback, and we played against Coral Gables High School, was one of our rivals down here, and he legitimately went like 18 of 23 with 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and just did an unreal job of guiding our offense and not making a mistake and being composed. So all the things you see him do, like on Saturday night versus Ohio State. I go, disclaimer, by the way, I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, so not only was I so my favorite team each week now is IU, and then whoever's playing Ohio State. So it was really good for me to see that. But just the composure he had in his first start, and he was like 15 years old. I'm like, he was a big kid. He was kind of skinnier at that point, but I'm like, if he fills out, he's going to have a shot.
That's crazy stuff. So when you're watching that game this Saturday, and the game is kind of on the line, and they go for it on 3rd and long to try to put the game away, and he throws that great pass to Becker. What are you thinking when he just steps up in the biggest moment of the season and he delivers a big strike there with the game on the line?
I just had a feeling they were going to have to throw the ball at that situation because, like Coach Signetti said, I started looking at the clock. I'm like, they need 2 more first downs, to put it away. So you have to throw it here. You just can't play and hope that you're going to take another 25 seconds off the clock and then punt it. So I knew he had to make a throw. And I think, Charlie had such a great game, the entire night, so that was the guy to go to at that point. I think they liked the matchup. He put the ball in an unbelievable spot, and that pretty much iced the game for him.
Again, that's Dave Dunn, the high school coach of Fernando Mendoza. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline on this Tuesday morning. Coach, I know his high school recruitment, definitely overlapped a little bit with COVID, so potentially that impacted some things. But how would you compare maybe the lack of interest from a high school recruitment standpoint to what the portal recruitment was like for him this time last year?
It was night and day, just because we couldn't. His junior year was COVID, and he was unreal in his junior year. We had a really good team. We were undefeated. We're champions at the end of the year. We literally, I think we only trailed one quarter the whole year. We were a very dominant team. It was the fourth quarter of the championship game, and we actually, Fernando threw an interception for a touchdown, and that's how we gave up the lead. And I just looked at him and I said, "Hey, listen, you got to fix this." And he went down against Deerfield Beach and led us to a game-winning touchdown. So he played unreal that year, and we couldn't. And he didn't get to go to any camps because of COVID, and so it was kind of we're trying to show everybody in his senior year, which we just weren't as good around him his senior year, how good of a player he was. And I was a Division I recruiting coordinator at one point in my career, so I had a lot of people in college coaching that I was begging for. I said, you never say can't miss. I go, but he's pretty darn close. And it was fresh. He handled it probably way better than I did. It was very frustrating for him, but he never showed it. It had to be. And then when it came to, when I watched him play at Cal, and I actually got to go to his best game, I saw him play against Wake Forest last year. I'm like, if he enters the portal, I go, he's going to have a ton of options at this point.
Again, we have Dave Dunn on the line, the high school coach of Fernando Mendoza. Coach, one that I'm curious about when it comes to Fernando, and I say this in endearing fashion, the Hoosiers are flipping champions. And I'm not, editing that for radio. He says that, and it's so wholesome. So personality-wise, how have you seen him balance being, we've joked about it here on the station, like the college TA versus being a dog and going out there and competing at the highest level?
Yeah, deep down, he's a killer, and that's what you have to know when he steps on the field. He's got a different mindset than people would perceive him to have. He's just the nicest kid off the field. Like I've said this to several times in all the interviews I've done over the last few weeks, based on his notoriety, is that he's the type of young man you want to marry your daughter, but on field, stone cold killer. And that's what I love about him, is that he can literally he'll be successful in whatever he does. His demeanor off the field is driven, but he's such a nice young man. And people, everyone keeps asking me, they're like, "Is that how he really is?" I said, "That's him." I go, "That's how he is." Some people think that he's putting on an act for the interviews. He's always been that way. That's how he is.
Coach, you have any conversation with, I don't know, any high school coach, I feel like in this day and age, it's quickly met with, maybe some of the challenges. And, certainly there are some parents that are uber supportive, and then you can have times where it can be challenging on that front to deal with all of it. What would you say about Fernando's parents? Obviously, his brother, of course, we've seen this story. His mom dealing with MS. It's been pretty well documented. But what was high school life like with the Mendoza parents?
They were unbelievable, because the dad played offensive line at Columbus High School, so the dad's a football guy, and he was put. I always say this to everybody. I go, when it came to coaching the Mendozas, Alberto and Fernando, between me and his dad, it was bad cop, bad cop. We were both really hard on him. There was no good cop. Elsa, the mom, might have been the good cop. And the only feedback she ever gave me was when we called too many design run plays, she would tell me, "Don't have them run the ball so much." Otherwise, they literally let me coach their boys, which was awesome.
It's fantastic. It's great to learn about him. And Kevin mentioned Alberto, too. How's Alberto as a quarterback long term?
You know what? They're different, and he's an unbelievable competitor. And he plays with, people say, Fernando plays with a chip on his shoulder. I go, if that's the case, then Alberto plays with a 2x4 on his shoulder. He's very, very confident in his ability. He's an absolute killer as a competitor, just like Fernando. But I even think it's probably he takes it up a few notches. I'm excited for his future. I've enjoyed, and Alberto will remind Fernando all the time. Alberto never lost a playoff game at Columbus High School. They were back-to-back. We were back-to-back state champions when Alberto was the quarterback, and he reminds Fernando that all the time. So I'm excited for his future at IU, and I think he's just going to be able to carry on the Mendoza legacy going forward.
Coach, last one, and we greatly appreciate your time here on this Tuesday morning. Again, Dave Dunn with us here, Christopher Columbus High School, the head coach of the Mendoza brothers back in high school. Have you thought what Saturday night will be like for you? I believe Fernando Mendoza will be hoisting that Heisman Trophy. It will be a speech for the ages. Have you thought at all about what your emotions will be come Saturday night?
Well, I'm going up, so I'm pretty excited for it. I'm not a betting guy, but I would bet my house on the fact that he's gonna win the award. And I look at a young man who's just put so much work into his craft and being a great quarterback, and watching him have the success at IU and win this award. And I share the sentiments of Coach Signetti. Is I truly believe it's a team award. He would not be able to do this without the great teammates and coaching staff he's had at IU. I just think it's a culmination of 23 years of hard work, or 20. I think he's 21 years of hard work, and it's going to be real special for me to watch him hoist the trophy.
Coach, thank you again for your time this morning. We appreciate it. Can hear the excitement in your voice, and it's got to be a lot of fun to be around that family and that kid, and have fun in New York this weekend, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Dave Dunn, head football coach at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. He just seems like he's just got this infectious personality, but you can't do what you do on the field like he does if you're not a killer somewhere in there.
Boy, I had to laugh hearing Dave Dunn describe maybe his mom a little upset at times of too many RPOs. Can you imagine what mom was thinking when Caden Curry got that clean lick on her son on that first play of the game?
And respect him for saying that was a clean hit. I saw him on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, I did.
And a lot of people could say, oh, man, I shouldn't have done that, or, that was dirty. No, like, for all the fans out there saying it was dirty, the quarterback said it wasn't. Clean game.
And Caden Curry, by the way, had a great game. So shout out to the Center Grove product for that. But, yeah, it's
I saw somebody call him a loser, and I laughed because I was like, he's from here, and he did not lose very often in his high school days, and not really now either.
Oh, he's one of the best players on the field on Saturday night, to say the least. So, yeah, it's just hearing more about the Mendoza story, there is just it's a bit movie-like, honestly, and just everything that he is about and the unique character that he possesses and how he is full. In the portal era, I think there is some nervousness, maybe from longer-term college sports fans, of like, do you really embrace where you're being, and you're just chasing the money, and it's 1 year here, 1 year there, and you're just coming here for whatever, to further your NFL pursuit. And certainly that was a big reason why Fernando Mendoza chose Indiana with Curt Cignetti's history with quarterbacks. But there's a lot more to the character of the human being. I think we've grown to know that over the last few months. And the whole nation has now seen it on display, whether it's Saturday night or, certainly they're going to see it at the Heisman Trophy ceremony coming up here in a few days.
And the next time we see him, it'll be the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, as they will
site visit for IU yesterday.
Yeah.
They were boots on the ground out there in Pasadena. So, yes, 4 o'clock, Alabama, Oklahoma. I saw some early lines. They'd be right around a touchdown favorite over either.
I like it so far. I like it. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show with James Boyd, back from Jacksonville. How is the lovely city of Jacksonville, by the way?
It was rainy. I'll say that. It was leaking in the press box, and I kid you not, it was legitimately a trash can in the middle of the press box to catch the water. So the renovations can't get done fast enough down there. As far as the game goes, not to rub it in, because I feel like it's crude to do that considering the injury and the magnitude of the injury. But, yeah, I will never pick them to win in Jacksonville. I'm dead serious on that until I see it with my own 2 eyes.
James, I was wrong, man. I looked at you a couple times last week. I was like, you think this curse thing is really real? And you were adamant that it was. And I might have believed the curse was real when Jones threw the first pick on the first play of the game. But then when he went down, I was like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and honestly, I said that last week, sort of tongue-in-cheek, joking a little bit. But if you look at...
I don't know, man. Now you have turned me into a believer. I don't know if you were trying to or not, but you've got me thinking things.
Yeah, but if you look at the 11 losses now in a row on the road to Jacksonville, which includes the one overseas in London back in, I believe, 2016, this might be the most devastating one. And keep in mind, in 2021, they were winning in. And they don't win, they don't get in. But the trickle-down effect of the Daniel Jones Achilles injury is far-reaching. It has implications far beyond this season. So everything is unclear now, and I have to. I mean, everyone's doing it. Me, Joel, Holder. We're all doing these stories of what happens next, and it's an interesting debate because that's exactly what it is. There is no right or wrong, to me at least, when it comes to the Shane Steichen evaluation, the Chris Ballard evaluation, and really even the quarterback situation as well, and the Daniel Jones evaluation. I know people are going to tell me, like, oh, you should do this, and this is how it goes, and fire everybody or bring everybody back. I can make legitimate arguments for all of it. And it just kind of stinks that for however many years now, you don't get that full evaluation, especially at quarterback because of injury.
You know, we were looking yesterday, and the free agent class at quarterback next year is not all that great. Are we just turning it back over to Anthony Richardson at this point in time? I mean, what else are they going to be able to do next year?
What about Phillip Rivers?
Next year, too?
Have you seen the Colts quarterback situation over the last 6 years, 7 years?
I will say this, Anthony
Stranger
Richardson.
Things, I think, was a very accurate depiction by James Boyd a little bit earlier in the show. James, you teased something Rivers related.
Yes, I was going to actually get to that, so I appreciate you reminding me. I kind of forgot there for a second. But, yes, so here is the situation.
I was kidding, by the way, on Rivers in 2026.
I'm actually not kidding about Rivers in this 2026 scenario. So he is one of the modern era players who is eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2026. However, if he joins an active roster, and active roster is key here. If he joins a practice squad, nothing happens. If you join the active roster of any team, you have to restart your 5-year window because you have to wait 5 years until after you're done playing to be eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, I'm not saying he gets in, doesn't get in, or whatever, but do you think you all that factors into his decision at all? The fact that he would, if he just joins the roster, plays one day, not even plays, but ideally if he joined the roster, he would play. But would he sacrifice another 5 years of waiting for the Hall of Fame for one game possibly of playing football again?
I wouldn't want to wait 5 more years.
That's 2 more grandkids, man.
Hell yeah, that might be 3 more real kids with Phillip Rivers' ability to produce children. So yeah, I know, James. When I saw that last night, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want to be waiting any longer than it is. Do you guys look at this as embarrassing? I got that a lot in the last 12 hours. This is embarrassing. The fact that the Colts are entertaining 44-year-old Phillip Rivers is the E word.
I don't know. I saw some people say it was kind of like Jeff Saturday press conference-esque, where you're like, this can't be real life. Is this really happening right now? And the fact that you've gone from the top seed in the AFC to now calling Phillip Rivers to fly in for a tryout a few weeks later, I could see where people are feeling that. We're like,
so you
really
see similarities between Jeff Saturday and this?
Yes.
But here's the thing, though, if you're the Colts. Given the options that are out there and available, what do you do when Daniel Jones is done for the year, and probably most, if not all, next year? Your backup quarterback, who is a rookie, is hurt. Brett Rippon is your next best option currently on staff. Like, other than maybe trying to poach somebody, I don't even know what the list is off somebody's practice squad. Like, what do you do? Where are you going to go? What are the answers?
There has to be someone that is a little more less old and less retired than Phillip Rivers, though. Like, you've exhausted all your options. This is the best you can do is we have to go to the Wayback Machine and call Phillip Rivers at 44 years old, who's been out of the league for almost 5 years now. There's nobody else. There's not a single soul. There's not someone from the XFL rolling around that can pop in for a game.
Jeff Brom.
Yeah.
Tommy Maddox.
What's Sam Ellinger doing?
Shout out to the Jeff Brown.
Where's he at?
Sam Ellinger still at the Broncos?
On set last night, they did make the Troy Aikman joke when he was sitting on there.
James, you compare it to Jeff Saturday at all? You go an E word?
Man, I don't know if I go that far because to Phillip Rivers and his credit, his resume is much more.
Yes, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, like lengthy than whatever Jeff Saturday had to offer way back when as, what was he, like the high school coach a couple years before he got that gig? So I think it's very desperate. It kind of feels like to me when the Pacers were terrible back in 2021-22 and they signed Lance Stevenson and it was just like.
Yeah, is this a circus act?
it was just like, at least it's entertaining is kind of what I think of it as. So from that standpoint, I guess it's not boring, but realistically, yeah, it does seem kind of ridiculous that you're asking a guy who hasn't played in 5 years to come out and work out and, sling the ball for you. But also, I think it's most embarrassing, and I don't say this is hopefully is a disparaging comment, but Brett Rippon, I'm like, man, I'm 29. I'll be sitting there like, there is no way in hell a guy 44 is better than me at quarterback.
Yeah, so basically to summarize it all up, as James just said right there, your options right now at quarterback, assuming Riley Leonard is not available to play. Let's start there. Knee injury for Riley Leonard flared up after the game on Sunday. If he is not available to go this week in Seattle, then right now the only healthy quarterback on your roster is Brett Rippon. He is currently on the practice squad. He's been with the team for 2 months. He last threw a pass in the NFL in 2023. I think he has 4 career starts.
2-2.
So basically it is either Brett Rippon or else.
Right.
And right now else indicates Phillip Rivers.
Else right now technically is Tyler Warren. That's their other backup quarterback currently. So they do have to sign somebody. So for everyone out there like, oh, why go Phillip Rivers? They have to get somebody on the roster this week, and they will certainly sign a quarterback. And then I'm waiting for them as well, Kevin, to put Daniel Jones officially on injured reserve, which would open up another roster spot for you. So there's some roster maneuvering that has to go on anyway. But, yeah, the idea that Phillip Rivers is being brought in is, like I said, I had to make sure I checked my texts and I wasn't getting punked. And, I don't want to confirm anything and say, hey, per sources, and I'm dead wrong. So just an interesting situation for sure.
Jeff, you brought up practice squad quarterbacks in Austin. Thank you for pointing us in this direction. Jeff Driscoll, Kyle Trask, Mike White, Sean Clifford, Bailey Zappi, yes, Sam Ellinger in Denver, Clayton Toon, Carter Bradley, the son of Gus Bradley. Wouldn't that be something? Kyle McCord, Trevor Simeon, Sam Hartman.
Well, to be clear, Sam is still actually on the active roster for Denver.
Oh, is he active?
Yeah, so you couldn't go get him.
This list has him on the Broncos practice squad.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Broncos active roster right now on their website.
So those are the names.
Keith mentioned, just called, couldn't hang on. Said he's at least looking for next year. He said, Kyler Murray, any interest?
I know we got to go to break. I got to think about that one, Lord. They had to put a clause in his contract that he wouldn't play video games.
Circle back.
So I don't know how him and Shane Steichen would jive for that matter.
I was going to say, you got work ethic questions. I don't know about that.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll continue to talk about options. Are there any options? What are those options? How might it come to fruition at quarterback for the Colts? We'll do it next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Good morning. Welcome into the Fan Morning Show. Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, back from Jacksonville. We had a lovely time up there in the press box. And, of course, Mark Dykton, as always, doing great work. Pacers coming off a win last night over Sacramento, 116-105. We'll talk more about that with Rick Carlisle in about an hour and also get you some details in a minute or two here. But if you're just getting in your car and you're warming it up and you're on your way to work, question for the Indianapolis Colts with Riley Leonard now banged up and questionable at best for Sunday, and no Daniel Jones for a while now. Brett Rippon, who hasn't played in a couple of years. Colts are looking for a quarterback, and it's true. Apparently, they're bringing in Philip Rivers for a workout today to see if there's, quote, mutual interest, unquote, for him joining the Colts at this point in time. I can't imagine, Kevin, he'd come back for anything other than just being the starting quarterback for a while, right?
Yeah, that would be my assumption with it all. What do you think? What do you guys think Shane Steichen's thought process is in this? Like, what Shane believes what could be possible?
I think he's, again, who's out there that can effectively run my offense, get us into the right plays, put us in good positions, and make the right reads. I think that's why they're looking at Philip Rivers as even a possibility right now, James, right?
I would think so as well. He knows the offense. They talk ball all the time. So from a playbook standpoint and getting up to speed, it shouldn't take that long. I mean, we all heard the stories of how obsessive Philip Rivers is with his craft, and probably still to this day. I mean, again, for those who are just tuning in, he actually mentors Riley Leonard throughout the offseason. Riley's parents down there in Fairhope, Alabama, live about 5 minutes away from Philip Rivers, that according to the potential future Hall of Fame quarterback. So he is around the game a lot, still very invested in it, but from a physical standpoint, I'm just very curious to know what he can do, because it's not like this guy's been training for this, I would imagine, over the last 5 years. He hasn't been, knocking on doors saying, hey, get me back in the league. I think he would have had an opportunity by now. So I'm very curious to know, if we get a chance to speak with him at some point, if they actually do go through and sign him, what's his thought process with the 8-5 record, the opportunity to perhaps get back in the playoffs and playing for something.
I think we played the audio during training camp, if I remember correctly, Mark, where Philip Rivers went on Dan Patrick's show and shared the story of him almost coming back and joining the Colts in 2021 as Carson Wentz was having his issues late in the season. Remember when the 49ers had their quarterback injuries a couple years ago in their playoff run? Kyle Shanahan has said that Rivers was their contingency plan, potentially in that run that lost in the NFC title game. I think the Saints also had some late season interest. So I say this in all seriousness, in that I am just simply relaying Philip Rivers' words to you. But what he told Dan Patrick in the interview was, late in seasons in recent years, he has put on full pads and worked out in Alabama. Now, again, I know some people are probably laughing at the thought of, literally a grandfather going out there at the age of 43. He turned 44 yesterday, 43 years old, and putting full pads on at the local high school field. Sounds like a scene from a Friday Night Lights movie with Tim Riggins. But, yeah, that's indeed what's happened here. So, I guess to answer my own question, it would
a reference.
Simply be a chess. Are you thinking that you're going to somehow chess match your way into converting a couple 3rd and 4s down the field? I mean, that's because me imagining Philip Rivers trying to run away from the Seahawks defense is one of the more frightening thoughts I've had. I mean, you thought it looked bad when Matt Ryan was in the fetal position. You imagine if that Seahawks pass rush gets humming? And they are one of the best defenses in the league, bar none. And also, James, you could be looking at a rookie right tackle on Sunday too, with Braden Smith's situation in concussion protocol and dealing with a neck injury. So, again, to answer it, I guess Shane's thought is we have no other better options. I believe in the chess match more than anything Monday through Saturday, and this guy still has a brain and knows my offense. And again, I know there are a lot of people that are laughing at it. I'm trying to just simply put myself in Shane Steichen's shoes and say, what in the world are the Colts thinking here?
Scott Johnston did a quick bit of research for us during the break, and Scotty points out it's not an all-inclusive list, but some of the current practice squad quarterbacks. Mark Rippon, of course, here in Indianapolis. Kyle McCord. Brett Rippon, sorry. Mark was back with the Colts, or the Redskins. Sorry about that. Kyle McCord, Eagles. Tim Boyle, Jets. Jarrett Stidham with the Broncos. Adrian Martinez with the 49ers. Malik Cunningham with the Patriots. Not an all-star list. Does Jarrett Stidham interest you at all? A guy that had started and played in the NFL for at least some experience?
So, again, it's not a guarantee that just because these guys are on the practice squad, they would, join you on your team, and obviously they wouldn't know your system. Now,
That's the big thing, too. I think we've not really discussed that part of it.
Well,
for anybody who thinks, they could just go sign this guy off the practice squad somewhere else, yes, but then you're asking him to learn your entire offense.
Right. When I say chess match, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean that Rivers, acumen-wise.
No, I agree with you from the Rivers standpoint. I mean, for anybody else thinking, well, why not anybody else other than him? And it's like, well, yeah, there's pros and cons to both of it, because even if you are younger and healthier, and I probably lean more towards that and perhaps some of the physical traits, you don't know the offense. And again, you're not running, the old high school.
You're not drawing up plays
run
in the
right,
huddle.
run left, and just be more athletic than the other guy. No, this is, like you said, one of the best defenses in the NFL, and you're trying to just get a basic understanding of the offense to go out there and perform. So that is tough.
I mean, part of me thinks we're just splitting hairs between, are we debating a 14 for 29 stat line or a 12 for 27 stat line?
Well, I'm actually debating whether or not, so here's what I'm debating, and I think Phil Rivers should have this conversation himself. You are contemplating coming out of retirement. You should also be contemplating being sent back into retirement physically, because I'm serious. If I am a Seattle Seahawks defender, I am saying, please bring this guy out of retirement so I could remind him why he left. I'm dead serious on that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would love the opportunity to say I sacked a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't care how old he is. It still counts. So keep that in mind. I love you.
There's no mercy on the field in the NFL, by the way.
No,
none
we've
whatsoever. That's how that goes. So that's where the Colts are out, and they talk about a 44-year-old coming in if there's mutual interest. And of course, I would imagine Phillips, according to Adam Schefter, it was about, is he ready to go all in on this for the rest of the year? And the Colts obviously want to look and see what's left with that arm. How does he move a little bit at this point in time? It's going to be wild out there today. It's going to be wild. This is not like your Tuesday kicker workout here.
Certainly not. I am curious, though, when that list drops later in the day where they show us who the workouts are. The NFL always puts out the transactions list if there is anybody else they brought in.
Well, the Colts have to sign a quarterback. Like, let's get that out of the way. If Riley Leonard is in doubt for Sunday, the only healthy quarterback of the four, again, torn Achilles, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, eye injury, is not returning anytime soon. Riley Leonard, if Adam Schefter is correct on it, week to week was the designation that Adam Schefter gave with a knee ligament injury for Leonard. Brett Rippon is it. So you got to do something, probably today, I would assume, maybe tomorrow. Again, late in the season, teams transition. And this is probably worth pointing out, too. You now only really practice, and a lot of teams do this, you now only practice 2 days a week. Earlier in the season, you practice 3 days a week. Does that change, anything of your thought process at all? It's a walkthrough on Wednesday.
You know what?
And then a practice on Thursday and Friday. So that's
bring me Oscar Fry. Brownsburg starting quarterback, back-to-back state champs. He's won a few games in NFL stadiums.
How about just Miles McLaughlin offense the whole game?
I thought about him, too. Bring them both in for a workout. Give them a tour of the place. Let him meet Uncle Phil. And, Oscar Fry, Miles McLaughlin, keep your phone ready. Your boy might be calling.
Yeah.
Are we thinking anything Daniel Jones plays football next year?
So this is one of the things where I don't understand why people approach this injury like this. And I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek. When there are reporters who are like, and I think it was Ian Rappaport, he'll be back. The timeline is 9 to 12 months for an Achilles, so he should be ready to go by, the start of next season. What? Like, when have we ever seen any athlete, even if they could, come back in 9 months? Like, when's the last time we saw an athlete come back in 9 months from an Achilles that was a quarterback of an NFL team? Like, the dude probably shouldn't rush back to get back out there if this is what could be a career-altering injury if you don't handle it the right way. So I think at the earliest, we're looking at a 12-month recovery, which will put him, again, in December of next year, which is the end of next season, which is the majority of next season being missed. So I just don't understand anybody who just automatically thinks, and I get it. The optimism, fans do it. I've done it where it's like, this guy's going to be out 8 to 12 weeks. Well, man, he's going to be back in 8 weeks. What? And
what was Rodgers? Not that he looked good when he came back, but what was Rodgers?
I'm trying to think because he tore his like the first game of the 2023 season. And so I guess that's a little bit different, Kevin, because he had a full year to get ready for the start of the next season. But I don't know. Like he had a training camp probably. With Daniel, it's bleak to say the least.
A lot of people on the text line have some questions too. A lot of things about why not go trade for Russell Wilson, quarterback 3. He could ask for his release. I mean,
yeah, I was gonna say you can't trade for him.
Yesterday, Jeff, when we had this conversation, I thought the best, and I say this in quote, the best case scenario for the Colts was to have a Flacco or Russell Wilson behind the scenes handshake agreement. We'll cut you. You go start there. Because again, we're post trade deadline, so you can't trade for these guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought process. And we talked about the Brett Rippon quote from earlier when Shane Steichen spoke with us yesterday, and he asked him about, hey, is Brett Rippon going to start if Riley Leonard can't go? He was very vague in that answer. I thought, the Colts are doing something different. Obviously, Phillip Rivers is very different. And just to be clear, and James, I don't know if you saw something else. I keep on getting asked about Ehlinger. Ehlinger is on the Broncos practice squad, right?
I believe he's on their active roster.
Yeah,
Okay, I thought he was on their practice squad.
So I'm looking at the Denver Broncos active roster right now on their website. So unless it hasn't been updated, he is on their active roster. You can't go get him.
So if he's on their active roster, yes, you can. Even if he's on their practice squad, it's a two-way street. But I think Ehlinger is the one people bring up because he obviously was here with Steichen.
Yeah.
And at least is participating somewhat in an NFL practice versus Phillip Rivers is burping his grandson.
A lot of people on the text line also, more than one, Brett, one of them saying, what about Josh Bean?
Jason Bean.
Jason Bean. He wrote Josh, but yeah, Jason Bean.
I mean, again, Jason, unless I've missed it, James, is Jason Bean on an NFL roster?
I'm not sure. I have not thought about him.
Look,
in a long
all
time.
these options. I mean, we're all saying. Don't all these options just stink? Aren't we just like literally going roundabout ways? I said it a few minutes ago. Are we splitting hairs between a stat line that's 14 for 31 for 170 yards and 2 interceptions versus 15 for 28 and 116 yards and 1 interception?
Ehlinger is on the Broncos practice squad, by the way.
Where is this information? I'm dead serious.
Well, the Broncos beat writers, because they said they signed a ex-Raiders running back, and then they listened to the practice squad, and Ehlinger is there.
Interesting.
Jared Stidham, the backup for the Broncos, on the active roster.
Red Slurpee just checked in, just tuned in. Has it been mentioned that Phillip's oldest kid is older than 8 Colts players?
I know nothing about that man's family besides that it's big.
10 kids, 7 girls, 3 boys.
I want
2 are married.
More information on Red Slurpee.
Yeah, you reading these text line names is crazy.
Again, in the non-quarterback news item from yesterday,
it's the beauty of the text line.
The fact that Mooney Ward is in concussion protocol again was it was one of the more jarring internal reactions, James, I've had to hearing an injury update in quite a while. Like, obviously, the scene of Daniel Jones slamming his helmet on the turf, all of that, but 3 times in concussion protocol in 3 months now for Javarius Ward. I cannot recall the last time, if ever, I've seen a Colts player in concussion protocol that many times in such a short time frame. Shane Steichen said yesterday, developed some symptoms after the game. That's where things are at. And I mean, how do you not just think about his literal future of, this is a guy 3 weeks ago telling us he debated playing football again after the last concussion. And now here he is 3 games later, back in concussion protocol.
Yeah, I really feel for him. And he's been through so much the last 2 years. And we've talked about it. His daughter, unfortunately, passed away last October. So he's been very candid about that and very publicly candid about that and the grief that he's gone through and how it's weighed on his mental health. And it might have been last week, Kevin, when we were playing the audio of him saying, yeah, I got to get my mind and my heart right to go out there and physically play. I can't play when my mind is cloudy.
Yes.
So
he said that last Monday.
Exactly. And you factor that in to now another concussion. I do wonder if a guy who, and keep in mind, he has a very accomplished career. Like there is nothing left from a football standpoint that he really
all
has
pro,
to chase.
Super Bowl, not to get into finances, but
made the money,
been very well compensated.
Yeah, so if there, there's other guys who might suffer injuries, and it's like, man, I'm a fringe guy.
Right, he's not an undrafted free agent playing his first year in the NFL.
No, he's an undrafted free agent that pretty much beat all odds to have a remarkable career. He might be one of the best undrafted free agents of the last decade in the NFL. So my heart goes out to the guy. Very good dude from all accounts, and just going through a tough time. And the last thing I'll say on that, Kevin, I remember being in the locker room in Kansas City, and shout out to Dominic Miranda, WTHR. He asked Javarius, hey, when you got hit by that guy, the blindside block, remember he got knocked, and we were all thinking,
this
boy,
is his first game back.
That's your third concussion right there. And he told us, yeah, I almost started crying because I was scared to get up. He said, because I thought if I got up, I'd be dizzy. And he was like, and he told us at that moment, he was like, if that happened, I'd probably be out for the season. And that message is ringing in my head right now of I'm going to be out for the season. Because, I mean, I would not expect him to be back. Seriously, I wouldn't bank on it. So, tough situation. And in the grand scheme of things, wow, you got, one game of Javarius Ward and Sauce Gardner right now? Tough break.
That's the immediate for the Indianapolis Colts. Also want to talk about, start thinking about what's the future for this team with no first-round picks for the next two years. Do you have to just go spend a lot of money? There's no real big-time free agent out there at quarterback. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do. Is Anthony Richardson completely out? I mean, he's 8-7 as a starter. It's not like he's been a disaster. What do you do?
Well, I said to you yesterday, Jeff, in my 12-hour, 18-hour immediate reaction to watching Daniel Jones tear his Achilles, my brief gut reaction to what 2026 would look like was probably Anthony Richardson. As wild as that sounds. Now, again, you've got, not that Richardson has earned the right for this, but if you're in the Richardson camp, we've obviously seen people like to leave certain situations. Is this situation where you definitely want to be? I think his agent has expressed publicly some disagreements about how the Colts have handled things. So that's a hurdle you still need to clear, not to mention, obviously, his eye situation. And then again, who's making these decisions?
I think that's the bigger question right there.
So we'll find out here over the final 4 weeks.
Man, okay. In less than a month, we have gone from everybody talking about this team being the surprise team of the year, and look what Daniel Jones is doing now, and they're running the ball. Jonathan Taylor's up and over everybody, and they're leading the league in scoring, and people are starting to think, hey, maybe forget playoffs. Maybe there's a deep run coming up here. And it's just all at once, just over the course of 2 weeks, gone away.
Yeah,
the window is wide open, then just slammed on our fingers.
And for those that are still wanting to follow the close playoff picture, like last night's result was a big blow. I mean, if you look at the Chargers, they have one of the harder schedules the rest of the season, and you have the head-to-head over them. Mm-hmm. So if, for those in the camp of how do the Colts make the playoffs, what's the best route possible, I've kind of looked at the standings and thought, you and the Chargers tied. Because if you're tied, you've got the head-to-head and you're in. And now the Chargers won last night, so they're at 9-4. You're at 8-5. So now you have to make up a game on them the rest of the way. And your schedule, obviously, is difficult as well. And you're looking at, gosh, when I say this out loud, I'm picturing like all of a sudden one of my kids is going to crawl into bed and I wake up from this dream. But I'm literally about to say you could be looking at Phillip Rivers starting the final 4 games. Was that a dream or a nightmare?
It's a little reminiscent. Remember when he was...
That's if he makes it through 4 games.
At the very end, and it's completely different, I get it, but at the very end of his baseball career, remember Roger Clemens would come on only in the second half of the season for the Houston Astros? And he's like, my body can do this for this amount of time. Maybe Philip Rivers is like, I can do this for a month or two.
To James's point, 11 men trying to kill you on every snap.
Yeah.
A little different than a broken bat from Mike Piazza being hit.
No, that's what I say. It's not. It's the only thing I can even come up with that where a guy is saying I can do this for a month, maybe too. But to your point too, James, they're coming to get you.
Yeah. So real quick, our playoff projection model at The Athletic, which factors in the Daniel Jones injury, through Week 14 in the NFL, the Colts currently have a 24% chance to make the playoffs. How much does that fluctuate or change if they sign Philip Rivers? Because the model would be skewed a bit in favor, I guess, of that signing, but I don't know, man. It's
it was right around, even with the loss, I think it was right around like a coin flip, even with losing in Jacksonville.
Right, it was like 50%,
right.
51, something like that.
So, again, if you purely want to play the numbers game.
I'm just explaining coin flip right there. I'm sorry, people.
Welcome to my world, James.
A coin flip, chance over the final 4 weeks is not the most outlandish thought. But, of course, now you're factoring in the quarterback situation and all. So, yeah, last night, and, if you want to look ahead to this week, the Colts are a double-digit underdog at Seattle, and Houston and Jacksonville are both touchdown plus favorites at home. I want to say Jacksonville has the Jets, and the Texans have the Cardinals. Maybe it's vice versa on that. So, if you want to play out the Vegas odds, which, be careful with the NFL, but this doesn't look like a great week at all.
All right, let's check it down right now, Mark, and tell everybody what we do know at this point in time. Gentlemen, we do know the Indiana Pacers have won 4 of their last 6. They win last night against the Sacramento Kings over at the Fieldhouse. Fun game to watch in the fourth quarter. 116-105 was the final score. Andrew Nimhard, 28 points, 12 assists. Benedict Mathurin had 25 points. Pascal Siakam had 23. Did I see Russell Westbrook with a triple-double last night, James, for Sacramento?
I'm not going to lie. When I was looking at him on my TV screen, I was thinking you could have been a Pacer. Could have been a Pacer, Kevin.
Man, oh man, but they won
Ethan
4 of
Thompson
6.
greater than Russell Westbrook's
triple-double.
How much fun is he to watch? So he's just keeping every ball alive in the fourth quarter last night.
So if Russell Westbrook can do it, can Philip Rivers do it?
Okay.
Russ hasn't stopped. That's one big
Russ ain't 44.
Friday night, the next game for the Indiana Pacers. They'll be on the road to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. 7 o'clock tip time, 6:30 right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Colts at Seahawks coming up 4:25 p.m. on Sunday. James Boyd, if you had to bet, who would be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts Sunday afternoon up in the Northwest?
Philip Rivers. Let's get crazy. You don't let this get out there for nothing. So sign him, tell him to turn back the clock, get the Ben Gay ready. Let's roll.
Colts are 8-5. They're currently in 8th place in the AFC. As Kevin pointed out, last night's Sunday night football game, not good for the Colts. 22-19 overtime win for Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. But here's the question. It's not just at quarterback. There is a long list of injuries right now for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, you got the 3 at quarterback. Braden Smith, neck concussion, so could be looking at Jalen Travis, the rookie out of Iowa State, as the starter. The O-line's been really healthy this season, but could be looking at a new starter there. Defensively, again, Mooney Ward, we talked about it, just awful. 3rd time in concussion protocol this year. I still get the vibe. Sauce Gardner, not yet. And DeForest Buckner, I don't know. Part of me thinks next week, not this week, but that remains to be seen.
College football Heisman invitees have been announced. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana is on his way to New York City for the ceremony there. Julian Sayin from Ohio State. Your guy, Jeremiah Love, getting a little attention there. He'll be up on stage there. And Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt is going to be there as well. By the way, saw in the paper this morning, positional Mr. Footballs have been announced. Some of the area guys, Miles McLaughlin, who've been following all year long from Knox, but defensive lineman Jeremy Finch from Warren Central, kicker Van Krisseloff from Cathedral Kevin, linebacker Dane Bathurst from Carmel, defensive back Casimir Hicks from Decatur Central, and offensive lineman C.J. Sifris from Center Grove. So that's positional Mr. Footballs this year. It was a fun year in high school football here in Indiana.
It always is, in my opinion. That's not a cliche. I love it. So shout out to all those who had a chance to play under the lights.
All right, we'll talk a little bit more about the Colts situation at quarterback and some good news. The Indiana Pacers, like I said, fun fourth quarter last night, and they've won 4 out of 6. We'll talk more about that next. Anything else you wanted to throw in, Kevin Bone?
IU Penn State, it's an 8:30 tip tonight in Bloomington. According to Vegas, Penn State is horrific. 15.5-point favorite for IU, and again, 2 straight losses for the Hoosiers.
All right, it's coming up in a moment. We'll talk a little Pacers and more Colts, along with your comments at 239-1070. You can call us up the old-fashioned way or just send us a note on the text line. Either way, we'll get to it as we roll through the hour. Rick Carlisle, Pacers head coach, coming up 9 o'clock at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Looks like my guy Fernando Mendoza after that Ohio State game with the #1 Indiana Hoosiers getting the win and a carry of 5 yards for Vidal.
That was a great game. Congratulations to Curt Signetti, the head coach, and the Indiana Hoosiers, and to you, Joe, and to all Hoosiers fans.
I had a lot to do with it, but thanks.
Well, that was fun. That was a big win. And you know how I feel about Coach Signetti. What he's done is nothing short of incredible.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Guy just wins. Google him.
Everybody's talking about Curt Signetti right now. How about just an Indiana domination of Monday Night Football last night? The whole pregame about Philip Rivers, and then talking about Curt Signetti during the broadcast right there. Let's go. Curt Signetti is – what do you say about this guy? This is one of the great stories we've been around, Kevin. It's amazing.
I said it to you yesterday. It's the greatest – I said after the Oregon game, it's the greatest coaching job, college or pro sports. It's funny, I was talking with someone that's dealt with Curt Signetti. I would say it's fair to say dealt with more of the personal human side, not the football coach side, the blue Gatorade at the press conference side, the obviously demeanor on the sidelines, dealt with him a little bit more in a personal human element in a very in front of the camera way, and said he could not be more just down to earth and personable and respectful, caring, not like I'm the, third highest paid coach in college football, not that ego whatsoever. And so I thought that was kind of cool to hear, because you see so much of the persona of him, and, it seems almost WWE-like at times with Curt Signetti here. So boots on the ground for a little Rose Bowl visit yesterday for some members of the athletic department. And now they will await a week from Friday, Alabama, Oklahoma, and then IU in the Rose Bowl coming up January 1st, of course, 4 o'clock, right? You have to have the sun setting when the fourth quarter starts. Is that why we kick off at 4 o'clock at the Rose Bowl?
3:30 or 4 every year, yeah. Gotta love that. And I just, when you watch Indiana, you watch him, it's always entertaining to me. He's on that sideline, James. He looks mildly irritated at all times, doesn't he?
I don't know if I put it mildly.
No, but I'm saying even if there's just nothing going on, he just looks irritated over there.
I like the smirk. Even after they won that game, he just smirking like,
that was the hardest. He tried to hide it.
Yeah.
When he was walking to find Ryan Day.
Yeah.
Were you guys surprised? Jake Query put this poll out before the game on Saturday. I was a little surprised by this. Jake goes, question for Indiana fans. If you were guaranteed a win tomorrow over Ohio State, but in exchange, you would not make a Hoops Final Four until at least 2035, would you make that deal? So you win the Big Ten title, but no Hoops Final Four for another 10 years. 70% of people said yes, they would take the Big Ten championship.
I'm actually just very surprised it's that high.
I was stunned.
That's probably immediate gratification right now, though, right? That's the shiny, sparkly object right in front of you right now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is also pregame,
right?
And I think we've talked about it all along. Obviously, Saturday night mattered to Indiana. You never won a Big Ten championship. It's Ohio State, et cetera, et cetera. But
I thought it meant more in the SEC.
You'd rather have that than 32 straight years without a Final Four? At least 32, according to Jake's hypothetical here.
I'm shocked because this is the state that's supposed to be different for basketball. You guys are liars.
Would you rather win Saturday night or win the quarterfinal game of the Rose Bowl?
That's a really good question. Man, give me the quarterfinal game because we're staying alive for a national championship.
Right?
You'd think so.
I mean, you can talk about the scars of maybe not winning.
And you would beat an SEC team, which might matter to some people. We know how
I thought it meant more in the SEC. Kevin, can you explain to me?
I know. We know how people talk about the SEC. Like, I thought, in all seriousness, I thought it was important for Notre Dame not only to make the national title last year, but to beat an SEC team on the way.
Yeah.
And that SEC team being Georgia, too.
I like that, but I also think it was important to a lot of people who've grown up here and been Hoosier fans their whole life. If that Big Ten championship game had been against Penn State or Wisconsin, that'd be great. Nobody's going to turn that down, and you get all fired up, and you're still happy. But I think it meant somehow a little bit more that it was Ohio State, if not Michigan. I think those two teams would have been different to play in that championship game. Not only are you undefeated, not only are you playing in this Big Ten championship game, but you're going to beat either Ohio State or Michigan along the way. I think who it was made a little bit of a difference, don't you, Kevin?
No Final Four for 32 straight years?
Nah, they're liars. There's no way you actually believe
70% said yes, folks.
This is like when I'm watching Family Feud and they say 100 people we polled and they give some absurd answer. And I'm like, who are these 100 people? We need to diversify the crowd a little bit. Yeah, show me the group because there's no way. Now, I'm going to lean towards the younger crowd perhaps being on Twitter and not suffering through the previous, however many years since IU's been relevant in men's basketball from a championship standpoint. So, nah, I can't get with that.
One thing I want to make sure we mention from the game on Saturday night is I'm in a text chain with definitely some diehard IU fans, and they brought up one of the bigger compliments they felt on Saturday night was the Ohio State. And again, yesterday, what was my thought process pretty much the whole day? IU's defense. Like, yes, Fernando Mendoza is going to hoist his Heisman Trophy on Saturday night, but the Indiana defense is what makes them this team. And the fact that Ohio State felt the need or have to run a trick play in a game that, again, for Ohio State's purposes, like you would think they circle Michigan more, they circle this playoff run more, and not just like a flea flicker or not just, whatever, some sort of like semi-trick play. Like they run this like double pass with, some crazy elements to it to try and get down the field on Indiana because they can't move it normally. With Jeremiah Smith, with Carnell Tate, with the Heisman finalist, Julian Sayin. They couldn't move the football normally down the field. They had to revert to
trickeration,
quite the trick play to try and do that. That was quite the compliment to Brian Haynes and company there. I thought that was a great point.
Here's one for you. This is from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Says the Phillip Rivers workout with the Colts took place Monday night, per source. Threw the ball well. We'll see what's next. And I can actually confirm that as well. That, I got some. Trying to do the source game, people, just let you know, it's the weirdest thing ever because when you reach out to somebody and they give you present or past tense, you're just like, huh? So, but yeah, apparently this happened last night and they're going to see from there. So I guess today is all about figuring out the details.
Is this where you insert the joke of the grandpa woke up after working out a little bit and you want to see how he feels?
I guess so.
And like I'm kind of joking, kind of serious though.
But it sounds like he works out every day, and I've heard these stories along the way where he's throwing passes at those high school kids all the time, a la Brett Favre, how he used to do stuff like that. And so it sounds like he's not just like getting off the couch. Like you mentioned that he's put on full pads at some point in time.
He ain't been hit in 5 years.
That makes it different. I get you, but I'm just still, at least he shows up in shape is my point.
I got to see it.
Are you highly entertained by the idea of him starting, or is there any part of the human element in you that's scared for that man's life?
I think everybody's scared for a 44-year-old guy that hasn't played for almost 5 years.
Or does that tell you how you are as a human if you're highly entertained by it?
I was going to say, I'm not scared for him because he has a choice. I'm not scared for him.
Kevin, can you be both?
Yeah.
I feel like you should be scared when you don't have options. He has options. I'm not going to be scared for him. You get out there. I want to see what happens.
Hell, you throw that paycheck at me, I'll go out there. I'll take some hits from the Seattle defense.
Over under on Mark's NFL career, 1.5 plays.
Throwing Mark into
the
Chesapeake Bay or whatever the hell's out
I'm
there.
telling you, it's going to be pretty. I might leave this earth, but at least that check will clear.
Nah, this
Kiss
reminds
those
me.
daughters before you get on the plane, brother.
Mark, I don't think we had ever played this on the air, but it reminds me of an interview with Lil Boosie, the rapper, and they asked him if he would get in the ring with like Javante Davis. He's like, nah, he'll beat me up. He was like, for $20 million, I throw them. Like, no, don't do that. You wouldn't be alive to spend the money.
Coming up in a moment, we will talk a little bit more about this crazy situation we find ourselves in, the highs and the lows all at once here in Indiana, and also Rick Carlisle, the head coach of the Indiana Pacers, stops by at 9 o'clock. That's all straight ahead at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. There you go, Mark Dykton. Put all the Golden Girls on the loop over there at Colts training facilities. Let's get going there. Retirement home for former football players coming back, Kevin. Could possibly happen later on today. Apparently, we learned that Philip Rivers might have worked out for the Colts last night by some reports.
You more worried about Rivers' arm strength or Rivers' ability to move?
Well, Armstrong, I don't know if he's going to threaten anybody 40 yards downfield. I worry more about his ability to move.
I'm not saying 40 yards down the field. I'm saying
he can throw. He can throw 15, 20 yards downfield.
His arm strength was a struggle 5 years ago
with the velocity that's necessary.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that man has lived late in his career, to Mark's point, off of precise timing, accuracy, and fading arm strength, I think it's fair to say. And arm strength, to me, is velocity as well. What is that 5 years later?
He was always a statue. Like, he was never, he was never hauling ass downfield or for anybody. So it was always his arm strength that was his bread and butter. And, when he was with the Colts the last time, we were like, oh, boy, this is kind of tailing off relatively quickly. I can't imagine it's improved with time.
Yeah. The two things are last time.
What do you mean? JMV's found some things that have improved with time.
Well, maybe he's been in the stretch lab. I don't know. Maybe he's getting his rotator cuff stretched on a weekly basis.
He's come to the right place, though. If you listen to the fan during all the breaks, we are keeping older men healthy here.
Amen to that.
That's what we do. So Philip Rivers, I think, is tailor-made for being around Indianapolis. We'll hook him up, Kevin. We'll hook him up.
So today I'm worried about all of it, Kevin, to be honest with you. He's old. Like, that needs to be stated. You have not played. This isn't Tom Brady, who played until he was 45. Like, there's reasons you left. Mm-hmm. If you could have kept playing, why didn't you? So that's a factor to certainly consider. So I would say the mobility part doesn't really bother me. He never really was that type of player. Can you sling it still?
Right. I just mean even a step slower. Like, I mean, all of a sudden, if this dude who couldn't move in the pocket to begin with now is dropping in the pocket, because that's
you're
the
not
unknown.
as quick dropping back.
Well, and that's the unknown that you would have. Like, watching him in a workout, okay, I think you can probably get a decent gauge. It's still not facing the defense, obviously, but you can get somewhat of a gauge on that aspect of it. How he operates in a collapsing pocket against one of the best defenses in the NFL. Keep the ambulance close by.
Where's Charlie Whitehurst? Touchdown Jesus when we need him.
Isn't he with, what's her name? Jewel?
Yeah, he's probably not coming back from retirement.
Well, she has that famous song, Who'll Save Your Soul? That might be Philip Rivers' case if he sees Leonard Williams coming down the pipeline.
Coming up in a few minutes, Rick Carlisle is going to stop by, talk about the Pacers having won 4 of their last 6. Last night, guys, they got 76 points from the trio of Andrew Nimhard, Benedict Mathurin, and Pascal Siakam, and that's kind of been one of their recipes for success in these last 6 games. And they've I was listening for a while to the radio broadcast with Mark last night. He was talking about statistically over these last 6-7 games, they've also been rising through the NBA ranks. They were down near the bottom in a lot of those categories, and they're starting to kind of rise back through again. But with those 3 playing the way they've been playing and getting some contributions from some of the other bit players, so to speak, they've won 4 of 6. It hasn't been a murderer's row of a schedule, but they're winning.
Yeah, and I thought Javarius Walker gave them a little jolt there to start the fourth quarter. They were reeling. They were on the ropes after that just horrific close there to end the third quarter. I mean, their lead was gone. The lead that I feel like it had gone to 20, but it was fading fast. And I thought Javarius Walker, just a couple buckets there, and they ended up losing the lead completely. But still, it was one of these where like you didn't have to turn to Mathurin, Nimhard, Siakam right away.
Yeah,
they ended up going, with them. About 7-8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Nimhard kind of took over for a 2-minute period there.
Nimhard hit a volleyball line 3. Mathurin hit a pull-up 3 on the break. Nimhard hit 1 more, and it was a timeout there for the Kings. And the Ethan Thompson story. Looking forward to chatting with Rick about that because I think it's a pretty cool NBA story and what he's given them. Makes his debut last week, and now he's starting.
And they're going to have to make some decisions on a couple of two-way 10-day contracts. You can only give 2 at a certain point before you either got to keep a guy or send him back into the ether, but they've got a few decisions to make as well.
Would you rather watch Brett Rippon start against Seattle or Philip Rivers?
Philip from the notoriety standpoint.
Trying to win the football game.
I'm probably going Brett Rippon. I just it's hard for me to picture a guy who hasn't been in an NFL locker room in 5 years.
I do want to see.
Or would you rather see Tyler Warren in the Wildcat for 4 quarters?
I might not be bad. I do want to see if the Colts worked out any other quarterbacks that we're unaware of. Like, was it just Philip Rivers, or where there's kind of like, come on down, you've got to work out with the Indianapolis
might be more
Colts.
today, yeah.
Shane
This from Ian
Steichen.
Rappaport right now. Philip Rivers, who worked out already, could serve as another set of eyes and ears for Riley Leonard, as he did in the pre-draft process. Do not come here if you ain't going to play.
You think he would come here and be the backup?
No, he's not coming here to be the backup.
Shane Steichen looks up from the. All right, Rivers, that's a good throw.
Yeah,
and also he
I'm
looks
just
up and
saying,
but
I
also,
I mean, Riley Leonard playing through a knee injury is less than ideal. Riley Leonard needs his legs.
And aren't
badly.
you just, are you maybe also just looking for somebody to play for 1 or 2 weeks till you get Riley Leonard back, maybe?
maybe they're doing like a.
If I'm Philip Rivers, I'm not restarting my Hall of Fame clock to come here and be the backup for 1 to 2 weeks.
Maybe they're doing a Frankenstein where they're going to keep Phil Rivers' upper body and they're going to take Riley Leonard's legs. And then all of a sudden, Phil Rivers is mobile as hell and he's slinging it down the field to Alec Pierce.
Looks like Michael Vick out there.
All right,
Yeah.
coming up in a moment, Rick Carlisle, the Indiana Pacers. Again, they win last night, 116-105. We were talking about that a minute ago. The Pacers playback presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers, cnjwater.com. And they'll be helping us out all year long as we cover the Pacers. And that means a little chat with Rick Carlisle. Coming up next, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Rick Carlisle going to join us here in a few. Good Tuesday morning to you at 9 o'clock hour. The Philip Rivers watch continues for the Colts. James, you said the workout actually was last night?
Yeah, I can confirm that. So they did work him out last night, not later today. So I wonder if that expedites the timeline at all with a decision coming perhaps at any moment.
Yeah, and we just update everybody on where the Colts quarterback situation is. 4 quarterbacks on the roster, torn Achilles for Daniel Jones. Anthony Richardson's eye injury, I do not expect to return imminently by any means, if at all, the rest of the season. Riley Leonard sounds like banged up with a knee injury. His status up in the air for Sunday. So Brett Rippon, the only healthy quarterbacks. We'll continue to keep you updated on that storyline. They won 4 of their last 6. They beat the Kings last night inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The Indiana Pacers now head into a stretch with a lot of practice time, I would think, here with just 2 games in the next 9 days or so. And to talk more about it, Rick Carlisle joins us now. Coach, good morning to you. How you doing?
Doing fine.
Big fourth quarter from your top 3 last night. Some shot making certainly as the lead evaporated, and I thought some big-time hustle plays from the great story that is Ethan Thompson. What did you see change there once Sacramento took the lead there late?
Well, we buttoned things down defensively. That was the big thing. I mean, a 17-point defensive quarter in the fourth was absolutely needed. And right now, our identity has got to be that we're a defense-first team. There's evidence that we're very capable of it. Last 8 games, I think we're ranked 4th in defense in the league. I mean, that's a real positive thing. Offensively, things come and go with shot making and this, that, and the other. But the defense in the fourth was key. And then Nimhard had a monster game. Siakam played extremely well, as virtually it seems like he always does. And then Mathurin was terrific. And so, good win. We got a more or less an off day today, 2 days of practice, and then head to Philly.
Rick, when you look at Andrew Nimhard's career, and I'm thinking back to his rookie season, I believe he had a game winner against the Lakers at the buzzer. So he's made big shots before. But how have you seen him just continue to grow in those fourth quarters, the big moments, and embrace the challenges that kind of await when things get tight?
Yeah, fearless player, really is. And had an attitude of just kind of this moxie when he came here as a first-year player. He was good in training camp. He's one of our better defensive players. Was not spectacular offensively, but we knew that he had the lineage. He had the career at Gonzaga. I think they went to the final game or the Final Four, whatever it was, his senior year. And I didn't even play him in game 1 that year. Game 2, I think we played, it may have been Detroit that we played or something, but we needed him to guard, I think, Cade Cunningham in his rookie year. And he came in there and was terrific and really solid. And then it became clear that the thing to do may be to put him as a secondary ball handler and a hybrid 2-guard and a guy that could take a matchup to start games. And so, we kind of ended up going that direction in relatively short order. And that's how it's gone. Now, this year, the role is extremely different, being the main guy with the ball, the main guy taking a matchup. And so one of the challenges has been, who can we put next to him that can give us a little ball handling, who is also a solid defender, who can make an open shot, when he's feeling the heat and getting a lot of extra attention. And so, the irony is Shepard had played one of his best games against Denver, and then he got banged up. And so, we're in Chicago, and we had Ethan Thompson on the roster for a couple of days, and I just felt it's time to give this guy an early look. And he's a 25 or 26-year-old guy, so it's not like he's your typical first-year player. He's been playing professional basketball for 5 or 6 years. he just has a moxie and a tone about him, where he's just unafraid, looks like he belongs, and he stepped right out into the game against Chicago, and frankly, it was hard to get him out of the game. So he did well there last night. I thought he was solid again, and so that's, as you mentioned, that's a really nice story. And as we move forward, we're going to keep trying to get guys a little healthier each day, and keep working on who we are.
Rick, for those that might have missed it, could you share on specifically that Friday game with Chicago? I don't know if maybe you found out Shepard's status for the game, but Ethan Thompson was originally, I think, drilling with some of your developmental guys over at the United Center, and that you realized what it was going to look like for you that night, and that he was going to play important minutes for you, and you had to make a call over there to say, hey, we got to get Ethan Thompson off the floor. He's going to play some pivotal minutes for the big league tonight. How unique is that? And I guess what does that say about this kid who just made his NBA debut a few nights earlier?
Well, it's certainly not a typical year in a lot of ways, and look, we knew Shepard wasn't going to play. He wasn't on the trip. The question was, the plan was to start Matthews, who had been playing well, and then, kind of go from there. And it seemed to me like the best thing to do would be to start Matthews, and then, we'll toss Ethan in there. But, what happened was we had some of our interns come up to Chicago. We're working on getting Quentin Jackson back. One of the things he needs to do is play. And so after shoot-around on Friday, a group of low-minute guys and interns were going to play. That's Taylon Peter, that's Quentin Jackson. I think Ethan assumed he was part of that group too, which is good. And look, if he had played, it probably wouldn't have, may not have made that big a difference. But as we're on the bus headed back to the hotel after shoot-around, I called over there to see if he was playing, because my plan was, not going to be to start him, but to get him in the game pretty early. And somebody said, yeah, they know they just started playing. I said, well, look, pull him out, because he's probably going to play. He's going to play minutes tonight. I don't know how many. And so they pulled him out, so that was kind of it. But that's how this year's kind of been. There's been some unique aspects to it. Challenges / opportunities, and so one of the challenges is the injuries, and then a great example of opportunity is Ethan Thompson being in the right place at the right time.
Pacers have won 4 of 6. Again, as Rick Carlisle laid out there, a little bit of time off. They'll have Philly and Washington coming up on a Friday and Sunday, but not a ton of game action here over the next 10 days or so. Coach, your next win will be 1,000 for your career. I think you'd become, I believe it's the 11th coach in NBA history to reach the comma mark, if you will. Does that matter to you at all? Does that mean anything to you, that number?
Yeah, I don't know. I it always feels like it's best not to talk about things like this, and just try to keep going, but look, it just means I've been very blessed over the years with a lot of great situations, great ownership, terrific players, a very supportive family, all that. But I don't want to put the horse before the cart. I mean, this year is a very good example of how, winning one NBA game is extremely difficult, and when you get extraordinary circumstances, as we've had this year, putting the chicken before the egg, or the egg before the chicken, or whatever it is, just doesn't feel right.
Rick, to look at other guys on your roster who stepped up, Garrison Matthews, I mean, the guy is an all-out shooter. How have you seen him perhaps find his rhythm as of late? I know early on, wasn't shooting the ball as well, but it seems like he's gotten comfortable just being integrated into this offense with obviously new teammates.
Well, he's a guy that's a gunslinger. He's gonna play his game. He knows who he is. He knows what gets him on an NBA roster and what gets him on the floor. The challenge was that he'd been, I believe, the last cut on New York. It was down to him and Landry Shamet. And the word we got was that, he had shot the ball as well, or maybe even a little bit better than Shamet, but there was just, the tiebreaker was just, the ultimate fit with the team and all that kind of stuff. I don't really know. That doesn't really matter. But he was sitting out, for probably the better part of a month. And, we went through 4 or 5 different guys before we got to him. And in fact, we had the one workout in Dallas where we worked out 3 guys. Eventually, all 3 guys ended up on the roster. None of the 3 are on the club anymore. And so we were cycling on to another group of 2 or 3 guys, and we thought we had a group of 3 that were going to come in for a workout, but one of them was headed overseas. Another one had some personal things going on, and the timing wasn't right. And so, Garrison was the only guy available. So we brought him in, and we needed shooting, we needed spacing, and the task was to help him get in shape, And so Lloyd Pierce did a really great job, just starting kind of from scratch. Because you can be at home and you can be working out on your own and that kind of stuff, but it's virtually impossible to simulate NBA practices and NBA games. And so it took a good 4 or 5 days to get him to where he felt like his legs were there, and et cetera, et cetera. His first game was at Cleveland, whenever that was, 2.5 weeks ago. He went in the game, he got some clean shots off, nothing went in, but the signs were good, and it kind of went from there. And so when he got to the end of his first 10-day, and we're talking about a 10-day team injury hardship contract. I mean, it's like a whole sentence. It's like you got to say a whole sentence to describe what it is. He hadn't made a lot of shots yet, but it just felt to us like he had done the work and he was close. And so we brought him back, and in the first game he got it going, and then last night he hit some big shots, had a 4-point play, et cetera. And with him, he's a guy you got to count for on a scouting report. I mean, you don't account for him. I mean, I think in 1 or 2 years in the last 4 or 5, he's led the league in 4-point plays, et cetera, et cetera. So an easy guy to like. He's gritty. He's kind of, who we are, right now as a team. And so we're happy to have him on board.
So, Rick, you talked about bringing in guys for workouts, and the Colts have actually brought in Philip Rivers, 44-year-old quarterback, in for a workout. So, in your coaching or playing career, do you remember the oldest player you played with or coached?
Oh, boy. I'm trying to think. Well, Dirk was the oldest I think that I coached. I think he was 40, in his 21st year. Look, Jason Kidd was 38 when we won the championship with him. And there have been others, James Johnson, I think, was 37 last year. There's been guys like that. But I will say this: do not underestimate Shane Steichen. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he's the best coach of quarterbacks, really, that anybody's seen in the last several years. I mean, what he's done with a whole long list of guys. And so, to me, the guy's a master. I think he's done an incredible, amazing job this year. There's a long way to go in their season. I know things can look dreary at times, but this is an upbeat fan base. A super upbeat franchise, as is the Pacers, and we're really pulling for them.
That's Rick Carlisle again. Pacers have won 4 of 6. They beat Sacramento last night. They've got Philly coming up this weekend. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Did I hear you were at the Purdue game on Saturday?
I was. Yeah, I was there with Sonny Beck from Beck's Hybrids, which is a seed company. Sonny and his operation are supporters of Drive and Dish, which we're grateful for. And he had invited me to a game a long time ago. And so, yeah, I went up there, had amazing seats. What an atmosphere. had the privilege of sitting with Sonny on my right and Brian Cardinal on my left. Okay, so there's two living legends now. Cardinal, not only is he a Purdue legend, but Cardinal played for us on the 2011 championship team in Dallas. And I'm going to tell you a short story about Cardinal. So in Game 6, now we had played the series in the finals. In the fourth game, we had to make some adjustments to our rotation because of matchups, and so we started playing Brian Cardinal over another more established household name type player. Well, Cardinal was playing effectively. His game is not the most beautiful game in the world, but when you look at his production and what happens as a winning player, the guy's pretty amazing what he did in his career. So we won game 4 to tie the series. We won Game 5. In Game 6 at Miami, we're up 3-2 with a chance to close out the series. Nowitzki gets his second foul 5 minutes into the game. And so, boom, here comes Cardinal. Now, the score is we're either down 5 or down 7. I forget which. Dirk had a rough shot-making night to start the game. Then he gets 2 fouls. Cardinal comes in the game. We go from, let's say it was down 5. At the end of the first quarter, we were up 7. Okay? We go plus 12 with Cardinal in the game. Dirk comes back in the game. Dirk is continuing to have trouble making shots. So we get into halftime, and Cardinal and Dirk were really good friends, and Cardinal's seat was right next to Dirk's in the locker room. And as we walk in as a coaching staff, Cardinal is in there, and the locker room's pretty quiet. But we still had a 2-point lead. And Cardinal's saying, "Dirk, this is great, man." And he was calling him Dirty. Dirty Dirk was Dirk's nickname. He goes, "Dirty, this is great. You got all the misses out, bro. You just got to keep shooting, and this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome, man." And so we come in, and we end up setting up a play to try to get Dirk an open shot with J.J. Reyes set a pin down for him. He comes off, hits the shot in the second half. He may have missed one shot, but he was great. But Cardinal's impact on that championship is always going to be overlooked. But he's one of the most resourceful players I've ever been around. And when you walk around the Mackey Center with him, the guy, it's like walking around with Tom Brady. I mean, he just everybody knows and loves him, and I certainly know why.
That is some great stuff. Absolute Purdue legend, Brian Cardinal. We'll end with this, Coach, and as always, we appreciate the time. I did have to chuckle a couple games ago. You said afterwards, in regards to timeouts, that it would be great if you could buy timeouts like Val's and Wheel of Fortune. Are you more Wheel of Fortune or are you more Jeopardy?
Oh, gosh, I like both. But, yeah. I mean, look, those timeouts, you're not out of timeouts. They just have a price. And so you just gotta decide if it's worth it to take one and spend a technical free throw or give the team the possession back. As I described after the game, and look, I don't mean to make fun of it or make light of it or anything like that. But if the other team already has the ball and you feel like your guys need, a minute, 15 seconds, for whatever reason, maybe it's, maybe you just don't have a lot of guys left on your roster that night, and you just feel like they need a little bit of a break to finish the game, whatever. If it's already the other team's ball, it's one technical free throw. It's not the end of the world, But I don't like doing it. I only do it when I feel it's necessary. We didn't do it at all last year or the year before, I don't think. These have been extraordinary circumstances this year, so sometimes it happens like that.
Picturing RSTLNE and you up there getting some letters there and the end of Wheel of Fortune. I'm always debating what I would go with there. C, D, would you go with Val? Would you?
Gotta go Val. I feel like you gotta go Val.
Gotta go Val with his RSTLNE.
Well, some of the, there's like on Instagram, there's some of these things where people are making wrong guesses at what the puzzle says, and some of the stuff is, it transcends, the question of which value of buy. Let's just put it that way.
I need a documentary on this, to say the least. Pacers night off tonight, so I guess we can watch a little Wheel of Fortune, a little Jeopardy. They'll be back Friday, Sixers, and Sunday afternoon. They've got the Wizards inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Coach, thank you as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Take care.
Rick Carlisle right there, Payless Liquors Hotline, little Brian Cardinal, little Ethan Thompson, little Dirk Nowitzki, little Wheel of Fortune, a little bit of everything. Pacers playing better ball here recently. That is now 4 of 6. Mark Dykton. Let's check it out.
We will start with the Indianapolis Colts, who apparently, James Boyd, last night brought in 44-year-old Philip Rivers to have a look-see at quarterback to see if maybe he can help them out of a jam right now. What can we expect next?
Either they sign him or they don't. So I would expect that news to pop off at any moment today, because certainly it is newsworthy.
A lot of injury problems. Riley Leonard, the backup, who's replaced the out for the year Daniel Jones. He's got a knee ligament problem, and he is listed as week to week. Brett Rippon is the other quarterback that the Colts might turn to at some point in time, but that's not even the beginning of the injury list. There's a lot of major stuff going on right now, Kevin Bowen.
Yeah, so obviously the 3 at quarterback, like you mentioned, Jeff, the torn Achilles for Daniel Jones, the knee injury for Riley Leonard, which could impact Sunday. Anthony Richardson's return is not happening anytime soon with the eye injury. But Braden Smith, neck concussion for him. This would be his first game missed of the season if he cannot go on Sunday. Likely rookie right tackle Jalen Travis into the starting lineup. And then probably the most jarring news yesterday was, for the 3rd time in 3 months, concussion protocol for Javarius Ward. Obviously, it's awful to hear that news. I don't know if I can recall ever seeing a Colt player be in concussion protocol 3 times in 3 months. So, he has been very upfront about how difficult the symptoms were in the previous concussion, dizziness, vomiting. Really said he didn't feel like himself for a full month after that, and debated playing football ever again. And now, here we are 3 games later, and he's in concussion protocol. So, I hate to even bring up the questions, but they are there. Will he play again this season? And potentially, will he play again ever?
Do we get any kind of an update later on this week on DeForest Buckner, Sauce Gardner, how they're doing?
Yeah, so DeForest Buckner is eligible to come off of IR. Maybe Sunday. I don't know. Part of me thinks, you get an extra day next week with a Monday night game. Maybe it's another week with that neck injury. Sauce Gardner, I always felt like it would be multiple games, but nothing official on that.
All right, Colts and Seahawks, 4:25 Sunday afternoon. You'll hear it right here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. We'll wait and see who the quarterback might be. College football, the Heisman invitees have been announced. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana University is one of the 4 that will be invited up to New York City there. Julian Sain from Ohio State, Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt, and Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame will also be there. College basketball tonight down in Bloomington. Indiana will take on Penn State. Kevin, you were mentioned earlier that Penn State is not thought to be a very good basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, they're 8-1, so record-wise, you would say, wait, what? But they have played absolutely nobody, and the odds makers have this as a 15.5-point favorite for Indiana. I was pretty disappointed about how they responded to that Minnesota loss. I mean, they got down 16-0 to Louisville on Saturday. You obviously fought back, but still lost that game. I would say, it was pretty clear who the better team was. So you got to take care of business. This is not a win that would help your resume, per se. Now, again, you're at Kentucky Saturday, who has also had a really rough start to the season. But a true road game would definitely help from a resume standpoint. So, yeah, take care of business. Penn State team, their best players are freshmen. Very young team and a lot of turnover.
All right. Later on this week, it'll be Friday. Indiana Pacers will play again in Philadelphia, coming off that victory last night against Sacramento. 116-105 was the final score there. You heard from Rick Carlisle with the guys just a moment ago. Andrew Nimhard had 28 points, 12 assists. And Kevin, there was a point during the fourth quarter there when the game was on the line. They were down 101-97. He was just nails for about 2 minutes there. got them back into the lead. Matherin also hit a 3 during that point in time, and then they just put it away down the stretch.
Yeah, some big shots from Nimhard, and then, Matherin, those 3 straight threes got you back in front, and then, Siakam did his thing. And, as we talked about with Rick, Ethan Thompson just making some plays, keeping a few extra possessions alive. Right now, that's kind of how this Pacers team needs to be wired. They've got those big 3 scoring, some others. And I thought Jarris Walker had a nice start to the fourth quarter as well, and you're obviously looking for more from him.
Yep, got to love that. Also, Monday Night Football last night, Chargers beat the Eagles 22-19, and coming back full circle to where we started here. That's not good news for the Indianapolis Colts, is it?
No, so right now the Colts are the 8th team, so that would be outside of the 7-team field. Now, they have the head-to-head over the Chargers, and if you look at the Chargers' final 4 games, at Chiefs, at Cowboys, Texans, at Broncos could be playing for the 1 seed the final week of the season. So, that's a notable schedule there down the stretch. Now, the problem is more the Colts need to be better than the Chargers by a game here over the final 4 weeks. Basically how
and they have no quarterback.
Correct. Basically I would sum it up as I think the Colts will get enough help, but they also have to walk through the door. And right now, walking through the door is the hard part. Given you don't know who the hell is your quarterback on Sunday, it might be a grandpa, it might be a dude making his first career start with a bum knee.
Wait and see who gets off the bus in Seattle on Sunday morning.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys not even taking that plane out there.
Mark,
do it like pro wrestling. Have a guy dressed all in black, and then he reveals himself as the game's about to kick off. Like, oh my God!
And bring him in.
Matt Ryan's here.
That actually would be kind of
Mark,
funny.
that might be your best idea ever.
Mark, you had the day off yesterday recapping the NFL week. How'd the Bears do with the Green Bay Packers, your favorite team?
They lost, but that's okay. I thought it was a solid.
Jeff from the top rope.
He can stick it. No teams, they're not the 72 Dolphins going undefeated. They put up a hell of a second half. It was a disappointing ending, but they also play them again in 2 weeks, and I have every confidence that Ben Johnson will get it done.
All right. Anything else you want to throw in, James?
Kiss my ass with that comment, by the way.
How about that?
You would never come in off the top rope, would you?
Never.
Yeah.
I'm a saint.
all you had to do was respond with 80 Mitchell's stat line. 1 catch. Well, how many catches this season?
How about this?
I can't say I appreciate the question, but I acknowledge the question.
What Rick said. Kevin asking about his 1,000th win.
All right, we'll get to some of your feedback on the quarterback situation for the Indianapolis Colts coming up in a moment here. 239-1070. You want to text in. Now's a good time to do that. We'll get to some of those. You can even call if you'd like. Again, 239-1070. It's the Fan Morning Show at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Mark Dykton, you could be in line to be the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, as we talked about earlier. You got 2 plays in you? What do you got?
Sure. Duck and run, and then we're going to do the Statue of Liberty play.
I believe you and James are both younger than Philip Rivers.
Uh-huh.
So are you, Kevin.
Yeah.
So is Shane Steichen,
Yeah,
right? 4 years younger than him.
Wow.
I was about to say, I better be younger than him. Good Lord. Man's 44.
How was the
You look
30th
great
birthday?
for your age, James.
It was funny because I was going to tell you guys this. I went and played basketball. I think I hooped Friday. Yeah, it was the day of my birthday when I turned 30. So I get to the gym, and the lady scans my card at the Jim Irsay YMCA, and I thought because I hadn't been there in a while, that's why she stopped me. And she was like, no, I need you to, like, come back, and you got to get your account corrected or something. And I was like, or no, she said update it. And I was like, okay, what's there to update? She was like, well, we have to give you an adult account. And I was like, I thought I already was an adult. And she said, no, you were a young adult. I was like, oh, dang. Like, so that was funny to hear. I was like, dang, I got called old.
They
I
just
didn't know
stamped
30 was
unk
old.
on your card.
Yeah, and then they raised the price. And I was like, what the heck is
What?
this? Like,
I want to be young again.
yeah, so I was thinking, I can hoop with JMB for free. Y'all might not be seeing me no more. So that was funny.
You can get the senior citizen discount soon, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Let's
I
go.
got a couple gray hairs coming in.
You know, really?
Yeah, legit.
Oh, wow. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, Mark Dykton, and we are discussing the quarterback possibilities for the Indianapolis Colts, as are the Indianapolis Colts. What do you suppose those conversations sound like behind those walls, Kevin?
I would assume Shane Steichen and Philip Rivers went over 1 million reminiscing plays over their days with the Chargers last night at dinner. That would be my guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess what's left to figure out? You know, he reportedly worked out last night, and why would he? I find it odd he would come back just to, like, do the mentor thing.
I'm not buying that.
Yeah, I
bro.
don't buy that at all.
I'm not finna pay you to be a mentor. You either come in here to play or you can stay at home.
It's 2025. Work from home, brother. Just hop on the Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
What do you think is a good paycheck per game?
You and Riley Leonard just zoom it up for a couple hours. I ask this in all seriousness. What percentage of Riley Leonard would make the Colts say, no, you can't play, Philip Rivers is going to play?
If he can move?
So you think as long as Riley Leonard can walk off the team bus, he's playing?
I think if he can move within the context of being able to function in an NFL game.
Because Riley Leonard has got to really move to be a good quarterback.
That's what he depends on, right?
That's his game. Like, he can't operate from the pocket right now. That is not how Riley Leonard is at all. So, you know, that to me, I guess, is the first question the Colts have to answer before you even get into Philip Rivers. Do you deem Riley Leonard healthy enough to start an NFL football game against one of the best defenses in the league?
Well, even if you do, you still need a backup option, right? So
Well,
you're still
you do
signing
have
a
Brett
quarterback.
Rippon.
Yeah,
do
but
have
you have
Rippon.
to elevate him and have confidence that he can get
Right.
it done, which, according to Shane Steichen yesterday, wasn't actually a very glowing, endorsement that he was going to get any reps or anything.
I think part of the problem is...
Let's get nuts. Get Philip Rivers out here. Let's go.
Honestly, part of the problem, and I'm thinking about what those conversations, not even just with Philip Rivers, but just like Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard, when they're sitting in that room, what are we going to do? It sounds like they kind of feel like, yeah, Brett's not going to help us win.
Well, and look, I see those people saying, hey, this is embarrassing, blah, blah. What's embarrassing is not winning the AFC South for 11 straight years. What's embarrassing is one of the longest playoff droughts currently in the NFL. What's embarrassing is Shane Steichen 2-8 against the Texans and the Jags over the last 3 years. That's embarrassing. You're in a dire quarterback situation with 3 of your 4 dudes hurt.
All bets are off.
Yeah, I mean, who cares at this point? There's been enough
optics?
embarrassment for this franchise. Jeff Saturday, we can go down the list of it. To me, on the embarrassment scale for the Indianapolis Colts, maybe I'm numb to it at this point, but it's not very high for me.
I still wonder, is there anything to somebody like a Russell Wilson, who's clearly not going to be a guy with the Giants any longer? Could he just ask for his release and see if they might do him a solid?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, and that would have to happen here now, like today. Again, today's the off day for the Colts. Wednesday is their full first big prep day for Seattle. It's now just a walkthrough, but still, that quarterback needs to be in the building by sunrise tomorrow. Thursday and Friday, you practice.
Where would this fall on the scale of disappointments for the Colts if they started the season 8-2 and they end up not only not winning the AFC South, but they outright miss the playoffs?
Yeah, I saw this stat from Stephen Holder. So according to ESPN, if the Colts were to miss the playoffs, they would be the first team since the Bears, no pun intended, Mark.
That's okay.
Of 2012 to start 7-1 and then miss the playoffs. And I believe if they were to lose out, it would tie their longest losing streak to end a season, which would be 7 games, which also happened during the Jeff Saturday season. So all of that in mind, I don't know, man. Part of me wants to be like, you got to figure out a way to win these games in December and January, but you also have truly been decimated by injuries. I can't sit up here and say this is the typical next man up. Nuh-uh. Not when you lose your starting quarterback. DeForest Buckner's been gone. Sauce Gardner's hurt. Javarius Ward. Will he play football again? Like, these are serious questions. So that's why I think it's so nuanced when we talk about, I know this isn't your question, Mark, but like just kind of pushing it forward. The 10 years of Ballard, Steichen, Jones's future, it's also fluid because I can see so many different angles you can take or directions you can go in because it is truly not a black and white scenario.
Here's the other thing, too. If Phillip Rivers does, let's say he does sign with the Colts, he does start at quarterback. You know, Jonathan Taylor's back there. You look at the Seahawks, there's going to be a lot of loaded boxes up there. They're going to make Phillip Rivers prove that he can even get the ball downfield for a while, and there's going to be 7-8 guys waiting for Jonathan Taylor at that point in time.
Imagine if you just woke up from a NyQuil hangover.
That was only last week, by the way.
And you're in your car for the first time at 9:40, and you dialed us up, and you just heard Jeff Rickard utter the phrase, if Phillip Rivers starts on Sunday.
Well, my brother's college roommate, who was a diehard Colts fan, he's been out of the country, so he just got back, and he's responding to texts. I said, what do you think about this Colts situation with Phillip Rivers? He's like, are you serious right now? And I sent him the screenshots. He's like, he's saying words I can't say on air. But he was like, this cannot be true. I'm like, oh, it's true, man. It might be happening.
But you did say that we did. You found out that Sam Ehlinger is on the practice squad for Denver.
He's on the Broncos.
Is that something you'd be comfortable with, Kevin?
I think it's all just we are circling the drain right now.
I want the chaos.
We are debating.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. Like, from an entertainment standpoint, it would be a crazy story.
That's not necessarily.
And honestly, for these airwaves,
that's not necessarily the way to make football decisions, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I might as well see Rivers.
You know what?
I mean, all these guys are just.
Let's ask ourselves. Listen up, gentlemen. Shut up, Kevin. I'm joking. What would Jim Irsay do? I'm actually very curious. What would he do?
He would definitely do the Sam Ehlinger thing because he loves Sam Ehlinger
I know,
more than.
but what I'm saying is, it feels like we're in sort of that. All chips in on Phillip Rivers. I can only imagine these conversations. Boy, these are the times, and don't get me wrong, not just the chaotic times, the good times too, when I wish I could call the man, because I would absolutely love to hear his thoughts on the possibility of signing Phillip Rivers.
The only thing that gives me pause.
Because he would believe. He would gas this thing up so far.
The only thing that gives me pause is Phillip Rivers legitimately being hurt. Like, it's like an unsafe thing. The man hasn't been in an NFL game in 5 years.
Well, wasn't there the guy, was it Frank Ragnow? That's how you say his name? He tried to sign with the Lions.
Yeah.
They're old center, and he got there, and they were like, no, your hamstring's falling off the bone.
You have
We're
a grade
not going
3
to sign.
strain.
Yeah, he didn't pass his physical.
The physical, yeah.
So, I guess we're at the point now where this is so old. Has Phillip Rivers had his yearly physical, and did he pass it?
You've got kidney stones, my friend.
I think your yearly physical at 44 looks a lot different than it looked at.
That's what I'm saying. Did
24,
he
34.
What are you doing with those rubber gloves, Doc?
From a normal human standpoint, might be a little different than passing it from a you need to play NFL football on Sunday standpoint.
We will get you
I apologize,
updated on
Kevin. I shouldn't have said that.
Everything you need to think about, listen for, and watch for throughout the rest of your day. It's coming up next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Shoot! Crap! Dang it! Gosh, that should have been huge. Dadgummit.
Oh, good morning. Here's something interesting that I have not thought about for probably a lot of reasons, but we have a texter, Ty, listening to us from Orlando. Kevin, he says, if the Colts sign Rivers, does Rippon just retire? I mean, that would be such an ego hit. I can't imagine.
Yeah, if you're Brett Rippon, I'd be like, do you guys remember that I'm here?
That's
Over
when
here.
you look at the
Over
paycheck,
here.
though.
Yeah.
Even the practice squad checks are pretty nice.
And you're not getting hurt.
Exactly.
Man. Signsville Chris wants to know if Jeff Saturday can play quarterback.
Maybe we should have debated Adam Vinatieri as a kicker a few weeks ago when we had the Michael Badgley, Matt Gay debate. Is Adam Vinatieri 50?
Yeah, I think he's like 50.
I guess the difference is like Rivers was good as last year. So there's that. You know what? Let this be a lesson. You can always go back to your ex, okay? For those listening,
that arm strength was holding on by a thread.
It don't matter. Baby, I still love you.
Adam Vinatieri, I looked that up last week, and I just double-checked, too. He was 53. He's 53 right now.
Really that old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Brett Rippon will be like these boomers won't leave. Just let me have my time.
I feel like this will be a great Brett Rippon, get the family around years from now and be like, you know what? That one time I was with Phillip Rivers, and this is what the quarterback room consisted of. And the story will be great either way, whether they had some success or went disastrously.
Well, be listening all day long to us here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We will let you know as soon as we know what's going on at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts and whether or not
I need to call my
Old
ex.
Man Rivers ends up being the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Do we call him Old Man Rivers at that point in time?
I don't know. I was listening. I'm thinking, hey, the Colts trying to call their ex. Maybe I need to call mine.
Old Man Rivers,
You remember the good times, but not the bad times.
So now you guys are coming around to my Matt Gay idea.
Oh, you know what?
Boy.
I feel like you should get a ding for that. You should get a point for that. Yeah, because that was well done.
Hey, positive from Sunday. Blake Groupie kicking in that weather.
Yeah, he did fine.
You know what?
I thought they all looked good too. I feel like they all
shout out to Angela
right down the
Moran
middle.
from Wish TV. She was probably the only one in the locker room asking about the positives of that game. She did interview Blake Groupie, and I was thinking, boy, today is not that day, my brother. I'm sorry.
One other item from Sunday that I don't get. How the hell was that ruled an interception on the Riley
Don't
Leonard
even get
throw
me
to
started.
Michael
There's a
Pittman
couple
Jr.?
where I just
Ty goes to the receiver, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I thought they could have made a bigger deal about it. Just watched it on TV too, but they kind of they addressed it a little bit and then they kind of moved on.
Well, I mean the game.
It was.
the game was over.
You're looking for anything at that point in time. But yeah, they got to play in Seattle on Sunday, and as of right now, as of right this second, who would be the starting quarterback?
Well, I think a lot depends on the health of Riley Leonard. Can you evaluate him properly on a Tuesday? Do you have to see him practice at all? Again, telling Aroldis Chapman to go out there and pitch without his fastball, you tell Riley Leonard to go play quarterback without his legs or a hindered knee injury. I think Ian Rappaport had it as a PCL sprain. That's different. Phillip Rivers with a knee injury is different than Riley Leonard with a knee injury. And my thought on Riley Leonard at quarterback is you have to go all in on the Notre Dame offense from last year. All in on it. RPO teams to death. Run him, and run him some more. Try to get the extra number in the run game like you have with Anthony Richardson at times. Try to get Jonathan Taylor going via that route. That would be the blueprint. And if all of a sudden that's not his game, now Brett Rippon and or Phillip Rivers, I guess, makes some sense.
Yeah, because to your point, Daniel Jones, prior to the Achilles injury, obviously was at least competent as a quarterback without the legs.
Yeah,
you wanted those,
correct.
But you were like, hey, he can still make some plays. Riley, no, that's just not where his game is at. But I will give him some credit. He looked better than I thought he would in that game against the Jaguars, especially on short notice and knowing. I think Michael Pittman Jr. said, "Yeah, I can count on my hand how many first-team reps he's got all year."
Earlier in the show, it was a lot of fun to catch up with the high school football coach for Fernando Mendoza, Dave Dunn, at Christopher Columbus High School in Miami. That was a fun conversation. I don't think I was surprised by anything he said. Just a good kid with a great attitude, a work ethic, and from day one, sounds like he was a stud, even at Christopher Columbus High School as a sophomore. Moving on.
Yeah, I think some fun stories that IU fans or even just fans of Fernando Mendoza, he's very hard not to root for, I guess, unless you're a Purdue fan. I think you'll enjoy that. So, yeah, Mark will have that up on the podcast. Rick Carlisle as well.
Both are posted as we speak.
With him. So, a couple coach conversations. Fernando Mendoza's high school coach, and Rick Carlisle's. The Pacers have won 4 of 6.
My goodness gracious. So, yeah, a lot going on. So the Pacers will be off until Friday, but we do have college basketball tonight. Indiana has a chance to get it together against Penn State. Double-digit favorite at home. Kind of bounce back from that Louisville game. Did you have a chance to see any of that on the road to Jacksonville? You were probably on a plane at that point.
Yeah, I was on a plane, and who knows if I'll be able to watch tonight's games because I might be working late into the night, depending on what they do at quarterback.
You have like a little workstation over there at West 56th?
No. I mean, they have, but it's only available when we had to go in for practice. My workstation is my couch at home, so we'll get it done.
I like that. So it's going to be the day as we all just kind of are on Philip Rivers' watch with the Indianapolis
in the year
Colts.
of our Lord 2025.
The second I said, I wish there was a camera on your face when I said we're on Philip Rivers' watch.
It's amazing what 3 weeks has done to this organization. Top of the mountain, and now you're calling retirees to play quarterback against Seattle.
Hey, honest question, though, Kevin. We've talked about that schedule. Let's say Riley Leonard is okay and can play. Even that, does this team win a game again in 2025?
Yeah, I think it's a very real question. Very real question. You know, again, the Seahawks and 49ers are playing for a lot, potentially number 1 seed, and, we'll see about Jacksonville and Houston to close out the season. I mean, right now, if the playoffs started today, right, all 4 of these teams are in it, I believe, who you have for the final 4 weeks.
And they keep winning to stay in.
Now, I'll provide an ounce of playoff optimism for you tomorrow.
Oh, you're going to make us wait for tomorrow? I like that tease. It's the 21-hour tease.
Are we up against it?
We got about a minute to go. We're getting right up there.
That Chargers loss was crushing to the Colts' playoff hopes. That'll be my...
You mean the win?
The Chargers win. Basically, you need to finish with a better record. And the Chargers have, I would say, is equally as a daunting schedule to end the season as the Colts.
They're much more equipped to deal with that schedule, though.
Correct. But again, you have the head-to-head tiebreaker over them. So if you could have seen them go down last night, that would have been very, very helpful in trying to create the head-to-head tiebreaker. And as of now, you're 8th. They are one of the wildcard teams. You're outside looking in.
We'll keep an eye on it. Like I said, we'll be listening to Jake Query from noon to 3 all day long. See if anything breaks there for the news. I love, especially, too, Jake's breaking news sounder. We need to find one of those. And then JMV will break it all down for you from 3 to 6. It's all right here all day long at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.